Hey guys, what's up? Today we're listening to Jujutsu Kaisen, Elder Itadori Yuji returning from the future. So sit back, relax, and just enjoy the ride. And hey, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And if you're one of the OGs, welcome back. You already know, it's about to get real.
Chapter 1, The Strongest of the Modern Era. Yuji Itadori. Earthling? Shimuria's Starling? What's the difference between the two? Are they strong? A figure in a hoodie walked down an empty street, looking a little lonely. Beneath the brim, his face was hard to make out. Of course, if you lifted it, you'd be shocked to find that he was clearly an 83-year-old man, yet he still kept the face he had in his youth, as if time had completely frozen. Locked at the peak of his looks, Yuji Itadori, as he is now. The boyishness has faded. The scars at the corner of his mouth and on his cheek add a heavier, more mature air. It is now the year 2086. With the older generation of Jujutsu sorcerers gone, cursed energy in the new era has severely declined, and no new special grades are being born. So, he became the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer of this age. 70 years. Yuji Itadori, no one can keep up with your pace. There was not a ripple in Yuji's eyes. A dead, isolated air clung to him, and in his murky gaze there seemed to be no light. The boy from back then could never be found again. He no longer made a fuss, no longer acted recklessly, no longer had that old hot-blooded drive, or rather, there was nothing left that could ignite it. Grandpa, Junpei, Mechamaru, Nanami, Gojo-sensei, Principal Yaga, Choso. After the Beyond Humanity, Demon Realm, after the Shinjuku decisive battle. The war ended in victory. He smiled. Kept forcing himself to smile. That was the kind of optimistic person he was, but did he really not care inside? Impossible. On countless nights he would often think of them. Too many regrets. Too many things happened that they never got to witness. Gojo-sensei. Choso. The me now more or less would make you feel relieved, right? And it wasn't only them. Even now. Yuta Okatsu, Maki Zenin, Hana Kurusu, and other sorcerers of his generation also died one after another. After attending Hana Kurusu's funeral, unwilling to witness the deaths of former comrades again, he vanished from the public eye. Yes, his companions kept dying and he could do nothing about it. Maybe if I could do it all over again. No. Even if I did with what I'd experienced back then with my lack of standing, I'd still be lost and end up doing the same things. Even if I went back with my memories. So what? Back then, the weak Yuji, how much could he really change? But now it would definitely be different. He no longer even knew how strong he had become. In an era without any special grades, what was there to measure against? No one could force it out of him, there was no unit to quantify it. Near infinite black flash. Reverse curse technique. An unreadable total amount of cursed energy. Abilities inherited from the death-painting wombs. Everything Sukuna could do. Physical strength surpassing Toji Fushiguro, even Maharaga. Every strike able to hit the soul directly as a natural talent. Over these 68 years, constant refinement into an extreme understanding of my own techniques and cursed energy. An ageless body from being a human and cursed spirit hybrid. A bloodline sharing the same origin as Sukuna. And I can freely use the cursed tools left behind across the entire Jujutsu world. And one more, a technique inherited from his mother, Kaori Itadori. Anti-gravity system. Kenjaku once used it to kill Yuki Tsukumo. And as Yuji kept developing himself, due to his special constitution, he unexpectedly awakened that technique as well. With reckless cursed energy, spending it however he wanted, grinding experience, he pushed this technique to a level never seen before and never to be seen again. All of that, stacked together. That was also why Yuji didn't know what level he had reached. After all, in this era aside from him there wasn't a single special grade sorcerer. Even cursed spirits were pitifully rare. Mahito never appeared. He kept waiting. Still, if an alien visitor showed up, maybe it would be different. Before coming, Yuji had learned some information. The strongest alien, Dabura. A name identical to a character in the virtual anime Dragon Ball. Someone like that. Maybe he couldn't beat him. Back to the point. From the fluctuations he sensed, it seemed to be a technique related to light. Light? Then I'll have Maharaga go first. If it loses, I'll go clean up the mess for that senior's grandson. As Yuji walked, he arrived beside a high-rise building. Inside were the human side and the alien side. Hey, this isn't a place you should be. A man in a suit ran over from not far away, shouting. Yuji didn't react. He assumed a strange posture. Piercing blood. He spoke the two words, utterly calm yet clear. But, the next second, a halo of light flashed across the entire sky. Yuji felt the world spin, and then the cursed energy inside him began to drop rapidly. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. It only slowed to a stop after falling to 1/20. The halo vanished in an instant, everything happening in the blink of an eye. Yuji's vision gradually became clear. The smell of medicine. A pure white counter. Patients passing by. A nurse behind the counter. This was a hospital? Yuji held that strange posture, facing the nurse at the counter. When did a person appear here? Hello sir, what do you need? The nurse asked cautiously. Another nurse beside her suddenly picked up the phone. Hello? Hi Sujisawa. I'm Yuji Itadori. I called you earlier. Yes, that's right. What's going on with my grandpa? Why didn't you call me back? A teenage voice came from the other end. The nurse named Sujisawa replied, I already told him. Don't hang up, I'll go ask. Mr. Waisuk Itadori never presses the nurse call button, does he? That makes it even scarier. Several masked nurses muttered softly. Sujisawa headed toward a hospital room. Yuji froze. Waisuk Itadori? That was his grandpa's name. But grandpa died long ago. Could it be the same name? What was going on? This place was a hospital? Yuji glanced at the calendar and reacted instantly. He had traveled through time. Or rather, the word time travel fit best. Yuji looked at his reflection in the window glass. He was still himself, hood up. He closed his eyes. He had only 1/20th of his power left. Yes, 1/20th. But it wasn't gone forever. The remaining 19/20ths, because of some kind of special interference, had vanished temporarily and was now slowly returning. Of course, that wasn't the main point. The main point was, why had he come back? That strongest alien's ability is related to light. Could it be that at the last moment he awakened some time-type field and accidentally sent me back? They hadn't even started fighting yet. How did he know he couldn't win? And he sent him back anyway? And also, what is this? A countdown suddenly appeared before Yuji's eyes. 179 days 23 hours 59 minutes 59 seconds. Almost exactly 6 months, the seconds steadily ticking down. Chapter 2, returning 68 years to the past. The speed of the countdown didn't seem fixed. The more he interfered here, the faster it rewound. The less he interfered, the slower it rewound. It was an invisible intuition rising from deep inside him. Phew. Yuji took a deep breath. A bit too spiritual. He didn't dwell on it. What he needed to confirm now was this a dream or a parallel world? Or had he truly come back? Yuji had seen countless movies, novels, anime. During the most boring stretch of his life, he watched a lot. So he had endless guesses. Time travel wasn't impossible. After all, this was a world of jujutsu. No matter what kind of technique appeared, it was possible. But it's too real. And there's no trace of a domain here, no cursed energy fluctuation at all. Yuji looked around. If it was real, then so many regrets. Then the friends and comrades who had died. Even his grandpa, still alive, still able to. Without realizing it, he ended up following the nurse, Sujisawa. She didn't notice, just walked on her own, soon arriving outside a hospital room. Mr. Waisuk Itadori, your call. Yuji is asking what you want him to bring. What a pain. A cranky old man's voice sounded from inside. Tell him not to worry about me and go to his club activities. He held a handset. On the other end was his grandson. Huh? What's wrong? Young Yuji. You heard him, Itadori. Which club are you in? Go to your activities first, Nurse Sujisawa said. All right. I'll come tomorrow evening. Young Yuji's voice was a little low. Maybe he understood his grandpa didn't have long. Go on already. All of you stop bothering me. The old man, Weisuke Itadori, barked loudly. Nurse Sujisawa flinched. Just then, a heavy feeling landed on her shoulder. Someone patted her. She turned. A stranger in a hood. I'll do it. Yuji stepped past Sujisawa and entered the room. In his eyes a different kind of light danced. That light hadn't appeared in nearly 70 years. Hey! Sujisawa was about to grab him. But old man Weisuke Itadori was still shouting, Are you deaf? I said. Today his spirit seemed unusually good. Extremely good. Not like the listless weakness of the past few days. But when the hooded Yuji drew close, his voice suddenly dropped. All at once he became much calmer. What is this? Sujisawa's eyes widened in disbelief. Weisuke Itadori was a white-haired old man, bedridden, bad-tempered and stubborn. Even though his grandson visited him every day, brought him flowers, and yelled only because he loved his only family, he still shouted at his grandson all the time. So aside from his grandson, no one wanted to visit him. But today was unprecedented. This man was incredible. It's fine. You should step out first. Miss Sujisawa. Yuji turned his head slightly, a dependable smile at the corner of his mouth. That profile, the glimpse of his face, left Sujisawa staring for a moment before she snapped back, nodded and withdrew. Weisuke Itadori raised an eyebrow. Who are you? He couldn't see the full face, but just from the voice it felt familiar. Like Yuji. But steadier than Yuji, more seasoned, with a trace of confidence that was hard to notice. How to put it? Like his son, Yuji Hisashi. But not exactly. Seriously? You're this old and you're still so hot-tempered. Yuji came closer, sat in the visitor's chair, hands resting on his knees, hanging naturally. He didn't look up. Being able to see you again is really nice. It's my fault back then. I didn't listen to your last words properly. I didn't stay with you through your last day. His voice was slow but full of strength. Hey. What are you mumbling to yourself? Answer my question. Weisuke Itadori's pale brows stayed knitted. And listen, if you're a man, don't blame yourself for everything. Fierce as a tiger, a staff to support, life stubborn and strong. I'm Yuji Itadori. He told the truth. Sure enough, the moment he said it, the countdown sped up by several seconds. A distant relative, who are you again? No, that's not it. There isn't one. Weisuke Itadori couldn't recall. Yuji smiled. Let's say I'm Yuji Hisashi's illegitimate son. Ha. You're lying. Don't underestimate an old man who's about to die. Weisuke Itadori knew something. He only had one brat of a grandson. You won't die. Yuji placed a hand on him. At a level only sorcerers could perceive, a special fluctuation flickered out. Reverse curse technique. Simply put, it meant manipulating your cursed energy to convert it into positive energy, achieving healing. Even injuries like severed limbs could be healed. Reverse cursed technique wasn't easy. Healing yourself was one thing, many people could do that, but using it to heal others was hard. Even Satoru Gojo never learned it. As for Yuji, he'd been able to do it for a very, very long time. He never lacked cursed energy, so he healed many people, and his mastery and understanding had reached the peak. Bzzz. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Birth, aging, sickness, death, those were natural laws. Injuries could be healed, but illness and disease were different. Heh. You sure act familiar. Weisuke Itadori felt a gentle force. It was comfortable, but that was all. Yuji's gaze flickered. His parents died early, he'd only seen them once at birth. After that, almost nothing. Only his grandpa. So, he would find a way. Idle transfiguration can change the soul and affect the body, maybe it would work. Capture Mahito and force him to heal grandpa. Yuji pulled his hand back, ideas forming. But Weisuke Itadori suddenly pressed down on his hand. No need. Are you thinking about how to cure this old man? Don't bother. Even if I get better, so what? At my age, the people I know just keep disappearing. A man just needs to face death calmly in the end. Yuji paused at that. Do you have any wishes? No. Got it. Yuji smiled. You're a cool old man. Dusk deepened. He stayed with him all night. No one came to question his identity as a caregiver, it went smoothly. Near morning, Waisuk Itadori said, "All right, go. I don't know who you are, but there's no need for this." "Then I'll come again in the evening," Yuji said. "No need. Do you want breakfast?" "You're noisy. I've got no appetite. You young people should spend your best years on meaningful things, not on an old man like me." "I'm an old man now too." Yuji went to the door about to leave. "I'm strong, that's what you said. But I've disappointed you. I still haven't died surrounded by crowds and I never got to experience a cool way to die. But I did fulfill the promise, or maybe the curse. I helped a lot of people. As long as it was within my ability, I saved everyone I could, just like now." Those were the words his grandpa said before he died, words Yuji had remembered ever since. "I also know the truth about my parents. Goodbye. Being able to come back and see you one more time. I'm satisfied, Grandpa." That last grandpa. Before leaving, he took off his hood. The old man's pupils shrank. Yuji put it back on, returned to the hallway, and a few seconds later he heard the old man's soft voice. "If you really helped a lot of people, then once in a while, you should rest and help yourself too. You've grown up a lot, kid." Chapter 3: My Past Self. Was I this weak? After leaving the hospital and saying a proper goodbye, Yuji felt far more at ease. He knew how awful loneliness was. Even the most stubborn person would have that one moment. His grandpa's mouth was hard, but his heart was soft. He didn't want to waste anyone's time. He didn't want anyone spending their time on a dying, useless old man. But he still wanted someone to stay with him. So Yuji stayed for one night. That was selfishness, nothing more. Yuji's tightly clenched hands slowly loosened, and the murkiness in his eyes loosened with them. If Grandpa's death is inevitable, then the others won't be. After he let go, his recovery suddenly sped up. He regained another half of a tenth, reaching 1/10 of his total strength. About the strength of one of his fingers back then. If I make big moves now, I'll alert people. And the time I can stay here will shrink a lot. First, I'll go take a look at the school. That high school I only attended for 2 months. Yuji thought back. This point in time mattered. It was when he ate the first finger. It really was nostalgic. And Sukuna too. Time passed in a blink and it was 4:30 p.m. Miyagi Prefecture. Sujisawa 3rd High School. The Occult Research Club, really just a club. This is really okay, right, Sasaki-senpai, Iguchi-senpai? Alright, let's start. Kitsune-sama, Kitsune-sama. Please tell us how to defeat the Student Council President creature. Ice. See. Angel. Isn't that just fodder? Ha ha ha. 3 people. 2 boys and 1 girl. They were playing something like a spirit writing game. The mood was perfect, the room pitch black. When they got their answer, they all burst out laughing. Ice Sea Angel was a drifting soft-bodied creature. How was that supposed to defeat the president? This game, seriously? The next second, the student council president barged in and slapped down a sheet of paper. I already told you before. Clubs without real activities, give up your room. Vacate this place. You can't underestimate our club's upperclassmen, young Yuji said. Sasaki-senpai pulled out a file of strange incident records and started analyzing their achievements, like finding some kind of ghost or spirit. The student council president didn't listen at all. What grudge spirit? That was a tick. What supernatural phenomena? They don't exist. And a club needs at least 3 members. Yuji Itadori, you applied for track and field, not the occult club. So you only have 2 right now. The student council president laid it out logically. Sasaki and Iguchi gave Yuji a grim stare, and Yuji hurried to explain. Huh? No way. I definitely wrote occult club. At that moment, the track club advisor, Takagi, a man tanned almost pitch black, suddenly appeared. I'm the one who changed it, Yuji. We're going to dominate the nation and we need you. Your long-distance running is outstanding, you might even run the Hakone Ekiden someday. You're great at other events too. So I'm definitely taking you. He was also a PE teacher. He'd noticed Yuji's athletic talent early on, and because of that he absolutely wouldn't let him go. You're so persistent. Haven't I rejected you a bunch of times? No. No, huh? But I'm not heartless. Beat me and I'll give up on you. Let's settle it with a fair track and field match. Interesting. Then let's do it. And so they started a competition, drawing a huge crowd. They competed in the shot put. And then Takagi shamelessly chose the one event Yuji wasn't good at. World record, 23.12 meters. National record, 18.18 meters. Takagi threw 14 meters. Young Yuji, in front of everyone's shocked eyes, threw an incredible 30 meters. A world record. All right. I win. Young Yuji was full of energy. The scene turned bizarrely stunned. Every student watching in black uniforms had their mouths hanging open. Still, a lot of them didn't really grasp the numbers, only that he threw it about twice as far as the teacher. The Tiger of West Junior High, that nickname's wrong. He's more like a gorilla, Sasaki-senpai said. Sasaki-senpai, Iguchi-senpai, and young Yuji walked along chatting. Not far away, Megumi Fushiguro, who had come to investigate a special-grade cursed object, Sukuna's finger, also saw the scene. No cursed energy, yet that much raw strength. Is he the same type as Zenin-senpai? He muttered. Suddenly, young Yuji remembered something. It's 4:30, I have to head back. See you, teacher, I've got something to do. He waved and bolted, vanishing in an instant. As young Yuji left, the aura around him grabbed Fushiguro's attention again. But he was too fast, there was no way to call out to him. He runs way too fast, right? I heard he can do 50 meters in 3 seconds. The world record was 5.47 seconds. A few passing students holding a soccer ball said this beside Fushiguro. Is that supposed to be impressive? Back then, was I really that weak? Suddenly, a deep, unhurried voice drifted by. A hooded man walked onto the sand field, picked up the shot put that had just been tossed aside and walked back. He stood at the marked line. Who? He tossed the shot put high into the air. Curled his fingers, then flicked. The flick struck the exact center of the black iron ball with perfect precision. Boom! A dull, powerful impact rang out. A gale followed right after. Sand and dust exploded into the air. Only a handful of people saw it, a black streak cutting across the sky, flying out of the campus and smashing into a big tree. It punched a hole clean through the trunk. And the distance. If it went beyond the school grounds, it had to be at least 100 meters. Cough, cough, what was that? Who turned on a powerful fan? No, someone threw the shot put? Are you kidding me? No, I saw it too. It flew straight out of the school? This is even more insane than the Tiger of West Junior High. How can a human have that kind of strength? That shot put has to be fake. Even louder waves of disbelief rose up. Gasps and shouts overlapped. Some track club members felt their worldview cracking, and teacher Takagi was completely dumbfounded. He seriously suspected his eyes were malfunctioning. Because he saw it too. A freak. With results like that, the Olympics and world records can't even tie his shoes. Yuji's level was already beyond his understanding. But this. Fushiguro also turned quickly. Hearing the commotion, he was just as shocked. Who was it? A sorcerer? If he used cursed energy to assist the throw, it wouldn't be strange, but I didn't sense any cursed energy at all. That meant it was pure physical talent. He forgot about the special grade cursed object and even about Yuji, desperately searching for the person who threw it. But the one responsible was already gone. Yes, it was Yuji. He had just done it. He'd only used a little strength, he didn't think it was surprising. He only thought. Even without cursed energy, his past self should have been able to do that much. Did he go to see Grandpa one last time? Tonight, if I remember right, is the night the senpai reveals Sukuna's finger's talisman. The beginning of everything. Chapter 4, 2 of them? That's not how I remember it. In the original outcome, he remembered the senpai and the senpai girl were both injured. Especially Iguchi-senpai, he fell unconscious and was hospitalized. This time, the ending had to change. After all, no one wanted to get hurt. No one wanted an extra medical bill out of nowhere. No one wanted it to affect their studies or leave a lifelong shadow. Night fell. Inside the occult research club room, Sasaki and Iguchi huddled together, turned off all the lights, and took out the finger wrapped in talisman paper. They set the mood perfectly. In front of them there was only a single candle burning. It won't peel off, hey? Do we really have to bring it to school to do this? I'll turn on the lights. No. Atmosphere is everything. Sasaki was stubborn, using both hands to pry at it hard. Enjoying this scary atmosphere is the essence of the occult club. It's fine, it's fine. Nothing's going to happen anyway. If Yuji hadn't always had something to do after 5 every day and been away, they would have dragged him along too. Because nothing would happen. That's right, though they called themselves the Occult Research Club. Deep down, they were unsure whether the supernatural even existed. Or rather, they didn't really believe. They had tried countless methods to summon spirits or vengeful entities, online, in old books, and not once had it worked. It came off. Why is it a human finger? Thud. What's that? The candle suddenly went out and they felt a jolt. Right now. Under a surge of intense negative emotion. If they looked up, they would see a swarm of maggot-like monsters rushing down. As if they were drawn by a special scent. Something that was, to them, an incredible feast. At the same time, young Yuji and Megumi Fushiguro were running in the distance. Young Yuji had already said goodbye to his deceased grandpa. He still remembered the look on his grandpa's face at the very end, strange. As if a certain wish had been fulfilled. He passed peacefully. Without any pain. And then right after that he ran into this guy in front of him. Cursed spirits, cursed objects. But the moment he heard that his senpai and senpai girl were in danger of dying, young Yuji couldn't ignore it. Is the talisman really that easy to peel off? No. People without cursed energy can't peel it off. But because it's been so long, that layer of talisman paper is probably useless. A curse. I still don't really feel it. About what floor are they on? The research club room is on the 4th floor. Very soon, young Yuji and Fushiguro reached the school grounds. At this moment, even young Yuji felt a heavy pressure. You stay here. Fushiguro intended to go alone. It's bad, right? Even if I've only known them for 2 months, I can't just stand by. Abandoning friends like that, young Yuji was righteous. You stay here. Fushiguro repeated. For someone without cursed energy, it was suicide. Even a guy built like him was the same. What time is it now? Where's the shorthand pointing? 11. In the pitch-black hallway, a cursed spirit with its eyes on the back of its head, bark-like skin, groped forward with both hands, wandering aimlessly. It looked like a frog and a horse at the same time. Time-questioning cursed spirit. It might have formed from the resentment of students late to class, or from the resentment of teachers working overtime. Its voice was shrill. Sasaki crouched on the floor, hands covering her mouth, terrified. She had always chased ghosts and vengeful spirits, yet now that one was right beside her, she didn't have the slightest courage to face it. What are these monsters? Fear. Nothing but fear. Sasaki, save me. Iguchi's plea rang out. A cursed spirit shaped like a hard hat, like a devouring mushroom, was stuck on his head, controlling his movements and forcing him forward. Sasaki's eyes went wide. At the same time, the time-questioning cursed spirit reached a hand out from behind the wall and clamped it over her mouth. Right after that, it was like something triggered. Or rather, their struggle drew more and more cursed spirits, one after another, until they all pounced on them. Heh. All of them were grade 3 to grade 4 cursed spirits. If you translated that into what human weapons could defeat, grade 4 would need a wooden baseball bat, and grade 3 would need a handgun. Of course. In real life, cursed spirits completely ignored human firearms. Because they were spirits. You needed corresponding power to exorcise them. Coming up was still too slow. A hooded Yuji appeared from the other side. He extended his hand. Palm open and flat. A dense surge of cursed energy swelled. The man gave a light blow and the cursed energy scattered like snowflakes, splitting off a tenth. Bzzzt. That cursed energy swept across the cursed spirits. Like an electric shock. It zapped those grade 3 and grade 4 cursed spirits all at once. 1, 2, 3, 10. In less than a second, all of them dispersed. The hallway returned to emptiness. Sasaki and Iguchi, frightened into fainting, fell from midair, and the man hooked both of them with 2 fingers. The curse has been released. And the aura is still this terrifying. And there are annoying cursed spirits in the way. Fushiguro rushed upstairs, but as he went, he found the floors strangely empty. The disturbance on the 4th floor also suddenly went quiet. What's going on? And there's an unfamiliar cursed energy fluctuation, just as frightening as the curse. Fushiguro had already reached the 4th floor. At that moment outside, young Yuji also seemed to make up his mind. He kicked a window to pieces and leapt inside. Back then, I cried not because I was scared, but because I felt a little lonely. If Grandpa's death is natural if it's right, then death here is wrong. What is this? Young Yuji landed and stared straight at Fushiguro. Then, they saw Sasaki and Iguchi laid on the floor, and a stranger who had appeared out of nowhere. You are? Eat it or keep it. You choose. The hooded Yuji threw it over. Young Yuji caught it. Before he could figure out what was happening, a huge grade 2 cursed spirit burst in. The wall crumpled like paper. Fushiguro sensed it and immediately shoved young Yuji aside, but it was too late. He was slammed away. Tick cursed spirit. It was enormous, with a head like a tick, compound eyes, 6 limbs, and a tail. That single hit ambushed Fushiguro so hard he couldn't maintain his shadow technique. Blood ran from his forehead. And it wasn't just one. Another twin tick cursed spirit charged in right after it, rushing straight at young Yuji. Boom! He was also smashed away, crashing onto the rooftop. Yuji raised an eyebrow. In his memory, there had clearly been only one grade 2 cursed spirit. What was this? Why were there two? Chapter 5, Long Time No See, Sukuna. He thought of an idiom. The butterfly effect. The more he changed, the bigger the butterfly effect became, and the advantage of arriving first would disappear. So, he had to act only at truly critical moments. That was Yuji's strategy. Because he also wanted to stay here as long as possible. Is the current situation related to the butterfly effect? Or, because of my arrival, did I break the balance of the Jujutsu world, causing the cursed spirit's side to grow stronger? Yuji thought about it. This problem shouldn't happen. Because he carried blood that was half human, half cursed spirit. The stronger the cursed spirits, the stronger humans became. The stronger humans, the stronger cursed spirits became. A cycle that could not be broken. Like yin and yang. Mutually generating and restraining, endlessly flowing. But, in the future world, Yuji was both human and cursed spirit. No matter how strong he became, he would not break the Jujutsu world's balance. So why would coming here break it? Could it be because he was an outsider? As he was thinking, the commotion outside drew his attention. Hurry, go take those two and leave. You're a Jujutsu sorcerer too. Megumi Fushiguro shouted. Right after that, young Yuji, forced into it, swallowed the cursed object finger. If you have no cursed energy, then gain cursed energy. It's the same choice. Yuji watched quietly. Young Yuji tore apart the giant tick cursed spirit's hand. Then, the giant tick was enraged and scrambled at him, only to be ripped apart by a single claw. Its entire head was gone. Only the body collapsed. Fushiguro froze for a beat, then shouted toward another direction. Watch out! At the same time, the other grade 2 cursed spirit, a giant tick, came at Yuji's side and bit down hard. Get lost. The voice was low. Yuji's attention stayed on the front. He casually reached out with one hand, grabbed a corner of the giant tick's head, and slammed it into the ground. Boom! The ground cracked for more than 10 meters. The giant tick rolled its eyes back. Yuji flicked his hand. Its 5-meter body was hurled dozens of meters into the air, turning to ash from top to bottom. Even with only 1/10 of his strength. Even with only the power of a single finger from back then. At 83, Yuji's cursed energy and strength still made dealing with a mere grade 2 cursed spirit effortless. Fushiguro hunched, holding a combat stance, but he could not find words. What was going on? A grade 2 cursed spirit could be exorcised by a grade 2 sorcerer, but it shouldn't be this easy. Yes, at the same rank, sorcerers were stronger than cursed spirits. But how easy it should look. He truly did not know. This was at least grade 1 level or close to it? The clouds parted. Moonlight poured down. Inside young Yuji, something seemed to awaken. A second pair of eyes appeared beneath his own. Cursed markings spread in rings across his face and body, grotesque. Ha 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 ha. Sure enough, it's best when you feel the light for yourself. Young Yuji looked like a completely different person, laughing wildly and viciously. He tore open his clothes, throwing off restraint. Cursed spirit flesh is boring. Where are the humans, where are the women? This era is amazing, women and children writhing like maggots. Controlling young Yuji, he stepped onto a guardrail, threw his arms wide, and faced the glittering city lights ahead. The night view. So beautiful. So orderly. So peaceful. It would become a tool for him to vent his desires to the fullest. How wonderful. The slaughter can. Before he could finish. At some point, a figure appeared at his side, the one he had ignored, and extended a hand. Then, he felt his neck seized. A force beyond description erupted. His body was forced down. Whoosh! Boom! A terrifying, explosive impact shook the air. In Fushigiro's vision, the stranger flashed forward. One hand in his pocket. He grabbed the incarnated Yuji and slammed him into the ground behind. A shrieking, tearing sound rang out as the ground split again. 10 meters. 20 meters. 30 meters. Cracks spread at a terrifying speed until a spiderweb covered the rooftop. Using someone else's body to mess around is very rude. Yuji bent one knee slightly, maintaining the pressing down posture. Sukuna. Beneath him was young Yuji, or rather, Sukuna. Clean, fluid movements. No wasted motion. No nonsense. Give him back. Yuji looked at Sukuna wearing his face. It was his first time seeing it like this. A strange sensation. Fresh. And that interruption was, without question, an absolute humiliation for the king of curses, Sukuna. Bastard. Sukuna's eyes went bloodshot. With only one finger's power as well, he seemed to have no way to fight back at all. He tried to resist. But the next second, his consciousness was pushed back down by young Yuji. Yuji then grabbed his younger self and lifted him up again, making him stand straight. A special grade cursed object got a body, and then got subdued. What is this guy's background? Fushiguro could not think anymore. So many monsters had appeared all at once today. Normally, besides teachers, you never saw anyone. What's going on here? All of a sudden, someone appeared. He wore a black blindfold, had a tall, slender build, and wore a Jujutsu high uniform with white hair. Gojo-sensei, why are you here? Fushiguro said. Speak of the devil and he arrives. Yo. I wasn't planning to come, but wow, you're pretty beat up. The man called Gojo-sensei leaned in slightly to look at him. The next second, with total whiplash, he pulled out his phone to record the mess. I'll show this to the second years. Come on, look here. He snapped photos back and forth. The phone flashed repeatedly. He was relaxed. As if he did not take what happened here seriously at all, looking completely scatterbrained. A special grade cursed object went missing, so the higher-ups are really annoyed. So I came to take a look and do a little sightseeing. Well, did you find it? Satoru Gojo said. Yuji released young Yuji, and at that moment Fushiguro shouted. Don't let go right now, he. Yuji ignored Fushiguro and gave young Yuji a push, speaking softly. It's fine. Your future teacher is calling you. Go over there. Young Yuji staggered forward a couple steps, raised his hand. Sorry. I ate it. Yuji was also watching Gojo. Gojo-sensei. The last time he saw him was when he was cut in half. So unreasonable. So unacceptable.
Look, if you've actually made it this far into the video and you're still here, come on then, hit subscribe. And honestly, if you think a friend of yours would like this, go on and share it with them. It really helps out. Right, I'm done. I'll get out of your hair now so you can get back to the good stuff. But seriously, stick around till the end. It's well worth it.
Chapter 6. Are you a Jujutsu sorcerer too? But, no matter how unreasonable it was, it could not be undone. And he had to learn to keep moving forward. So, carrying everyone's expectations, he moved on, facing everything alone. Until now. As those thoughts churned inside Yuji, young Yuji admitted that he had eaten the special grade cursed object. Huh. Satoru Gojo raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Seriously? There was no evasiveness on young Yuji's face, so straightforward that there wasn't a hint of a lie. In that situation, if he hadn't eaten it, everyone would have. Huh? Wait? Seems like they wouldn't? Yuji suddenly turned his head, looking back at the hooded figure with the unfamiliar build who had kept his hood on the whole time, confusion filling his eyes. On the other side, Gojo tilted his head, his body suddenly closing in on young Yuji. With his index finger and thumb lightly touching his chin, he examined him carefully. The next second, he gave two soft chuckles, his tone returning to its usual casualness. So it really is mixed in there. That's funny. Any abnormalities with your body? No. Young Yuji looked honest as can be, raising a hand to brush the dust off himself. Gojo pressed. Can you swap with Sukuna? Sukuna? Young Yuji froze, clearly not registering the name. The curse you just ate, Gojo explained patiently. Oh. Yeah, probably. Young Yuji nodded, finally understanding. Gojo stretched lazily, his tone so light it was as if he were talking about something trivial. All right, then 10 seconds. After 10 seconds you turn back. But, young Yuji tried to say more, but Gojo cut him off. Relax. I'm invincible. As soon as he finished, he casually tossed a bag of snacks and called toward Megumi Fushiguro, Megumi, catch! This is Kikufuku from Kikujin, a Sendai specialty, super good. I especially recommend the edamame fresh cream flavor. His tone did not match the tense atmosphere at all. Fushiguro caught the snacks in a daze, then stared at Gojo in a daze. This guy actually bought sweets before coming, even at a time like this? If that unknown special sorcerer hadn't appeared earlier, the outcome would have been unthinkable. As if seeing through his thoughts, Gojo waved a hand and corrected him casually. Not a souvenir. I'm planning to eat it on the Shinkansen on the way back. He rambled on. Kikufuku isn't like other specialties. Right then, young Yuji closed his eyes and began swapping with Sukuna inside him. Layers of black cursed markings slowly spread up from his neck, and his originally clear eyes were swallowed by crimson in an instant. The next second, Sukuna sprang straight into the air. Behind you! Fushiguro's heart tightened and he shouted a warning. But Sukuna, in midair, made a move that was beyond what either of them expected. That's right. He didn't pounce on Gojo and he didn't attack Fushiguro. Instead, he twisted sharply in the air, his crimson gaze locking dead onto the hooded man who had been ignored. Huff! A light breeze swept by. Sukuna clenched his fist into a claw, black nails slicing through the air. Dense cursed energy surged from his fingertips, carrying a biting chill. Brat! His voice was low and hoarse, brimming with undisguised malice. He remembered perfectly who had ambushed him. Whoosh! Sukuna's speed was terrifying. His body warped into a blurred afterimage in midair, so fast Fushiguro couldn't even track him with the naked eye. Snap! But just as the claw was about to touch, a crisp sound rang out. Gojo appeared in an instant, firmly blocking in front of Yuji. With only 2 fingers he lightly pinched Sukuna's wrist, cursed energy and all. Casual. Stylish. As if he were pinching a feather. Oh my, you picked the wrong person. Gojo's tone was bright, even amused. Also, I wasn't finished talking. The whipped cream filling is amazing too. It goes perfectly with edamame. He loved sweets, and he especially hated being interrupted while talking about sweets. Humph. Sukuna narrowed his crimson eyes. Anyone thinks they can interfere with me. Whoosh. He whipped out his other hand, a fist packed with violent cursed energy driving straight at Gojo's face. In just a few seconds, their bodies crossed and shifted again and again. Amid rapid footwork and evasions, violent gusts burst out, and the roar of cursed energy collisions shook the air as the battlefield instantly turned white-hot. In front of students, let me show off a bit. Before the words even finished, Gojo was already behind Sukuna, so relaxed he even leaned his back against Sukuna's back. Sukuna spun and counterattacked, punch after punch, but every strike was easily avoided by Gojo. He couldn't touch even a corner of Gojo's clothes. Is his speed absurd? No. Sukuna's mind stirred, and in the brief moment he hesitated. Bang! A heavy punch slammed into his abdomen, and Sukuna flew back like a kite with its string cut. Damn it! Sukuna steadied himself. No matter what error it is, Jujutsu sorcerers are always this annoying. Sukuna laughed and charged again, returning a blow. The destructive force burst out, smoke billowing, more exaggerated than what Yuji had caused earlier, more windows shattering. Unfortunately, it was useless. When the smoke cleared, Gojo was unscathed. He even raised a finger and began counting down slowly. 4, 3, 2. Sukuna, controlling young Yuji's body, suddenly felt a powerful pulling away sensation. His heart sank, and he understood immediately. Damn it, it's happening again. I can't keep possessing him. This kid named Yuji, what the hell is he? Sukuna's consciousness blurred, his eyes slowly closing as drowsiness swallowed him. At the final moment before his awareness vanished completely, he turned his crimson gaze toward the one who had silently watched from the side the entire time. His voice was hoarse and icy. And you too. I'll remember you. The one who ambushed him. Next time they met, no one would be there to protect him. The next second, young Yuji regained control of his body. He shook his head, looking blankly confused. Huh? Is it over? I really didn't expect you to be able to control him. Gojo's voice carried a trace of surprised admiration. Young Yuji raised a hand and patted his head. But it's so loud. I can always hear that guy's voice in my head. Loud? That's all. Gojo smiled, his tone full of amazement. That's practically a miracle. As he spoke, he stepped toward young Yuji. Young Yuji remembered something and turned toward the corner. Oh, and also thanks Big Bro for earlier. He assumed the man was with Fushiguro. But Fushiguro didn't know him at all, asking quietly, Gojo-sensei, is he from Jujutsu High? Gojo paused, then sidestepped and hopped his way over to Yuji. Oh? I didn't notice earlier. Are you a Jujutsu sorcerer too? Chapter 7, he'll win but not him. He arrived a bit late, so he didn't see the duel between this person and Sukuna. Gojo studied him for a while. When he got no response, he made a call. Ah, principal. You don't know either? The higher-ups didn't send anyone? Oh, that's strange then. Gojo hung up. Young Yuji and Megumi Fushiguro both froze. So he really was a complete stranger? And this stranger helped them? An overlooked independent jujitsu expert? Watching Gojo bully Sukuna again felt to Yuji like watching a memory, like watching a movie. But now, the noise of the outside world pulled him back again. Yuji looked at Gojo-sensei once more. At different stages, the feeling was different. Are you a jujitsu sorcerer too? Gojo asked. A jujitsu sorcerer, you could say that. Or rather, I'm the future you hoped for. Yuji thought. And he stopped Gojo's little move. Yes, Gojo wasn't satisfied even getting within a centimeter. He leaned his head down. Like an elementary school classmate. As if peeking under a desk to see someone's face still wasn't enough, and he was about to pull off the hood to get a clear look. So Yuji had to interrupt. Because it was true, at the instant Gojo tried to lift the hood, the countdown suddenly jumped. If it was fully removed, the time he could stay might drop by a huge amount. At the same time, Yuji reached out with one hand to lift Gojo's blindfold. Gojo raised an eyebrow and caught Yuji's hand too. They held in a brief stalemate. You don't like people taking it off either, do you? Yuji said. Gojo smiled. This hood seemed special. Some invisible technique covered his eyes and nose, leaving only the corner of his mouth and the scar there visible. Nothing else could be made out. If you insist on knowing, Yuji chose his words, just treat me as a passerby, a remnant of the old era. A secret identity masked rider? Young Yuji blurted. Yuji lowered his eyes, walked straight up to young Yuji, raised one finger and tapped his forehead. Don't forget what you said earlier, don't let people who shouldn't die. As soon as he finished, young Yuji fainted. Yuji flicked him casually, sending young Yuji flying toward Gojo. When he wakes up, if he isn't possessed by Sukuna, then he might be a vessel. With that, he turned to leave. Gojo paused, then caught young Yuji with one hand. Inside, he clicked his tongue in surprise. How does this guy know what I'm about to do and what I'm saying? Wait. Gojo reached out. Snatched a sweet from Megumi's side. Edamame fresh cream kikufuku, want one? He didn't give Yuji a chance to refuse. As he spoke, he fired it over, so fast it was like a bullet. Yuji didn't even look, he raised a hand and caught the sweet easily. Splat! The kikufuku smashed apart from the impact, and plenty of it splattered onto Fushiguro's face. Fushiguro's forehead twitched with a dark vein. Gojo smiled slightly. He really does have skill. That speed just now, any sorcerer below grade 1 wouldn't even react. You look pretty steady, but you can't be that old, right? You can call me Satoru. What should I call you? My name is... UNG. Yuji thought for a moment and made up a name. UNG, huh? That's an old-fashioned naming style. Sounds honest. Gojo rubbed his chin and suddenly asked something hard to read. What do you think of the jujutsu world? Not old. Skilled enough to clash with one-finger Sukuna. A rare talent. Not knowing who I am and you're already trying to recruit me so casually? The next morning, Gojo reported 2 people, Sukuna's vessel, Yuji Itadori, and UNG. First he settled young Yuji. After confirming he woke up as himself. He accompanied him to collect his grandpa's ashes and fed him Sukuna's second finger. But young Yuji ate it willingly. Second finger, 1/10 power. It tastes so bad it makes you want to laugh. Young Yuji clutched his own throat and stuck out his tongue. Gojo's lips curled slightly. Now it's confirmed. Not only does he have physical tolerance, he can keep his sense of self even against Sukuna. A once-in-a-thousand-years genius. You can say you've made up your mind? Gojo asked. Not at all. I still think, why do I have to be sentenced to death? But we can't just leave curses alone. That dying request is such a pain. Young Yuji spoke. I'll eat all of Sukuna's fingers. After that I don't care. I'm doomed to die anyway, right? He already knew. He would swallow all of Sukuna's fingers, then accept execution, dying together with Sukuna. It was the most convenient and the best way to die. That's not necessarily true. UNG, waiting off to the side, said calmly, sometimes reality is the opposite of the ending. Doomed to die? In reality everyone slowly died, only you lived. All right. Pack your things properly today. Gojo said. Where are we going? Young Yuji asked. Gojo opened the door. Fushiguro was standing outside. Tokyo. From here on, you'll transfer to the sorcerer school I'm at, Tokyo Prefectural Jujutsu High. Gojo hopped out too, held up 3 fingers and added at just the right time. First years, including you, makes exactly 3. So few? Young Yuji poked the other side. Hey. Then what about UNG? I've already enrolled once. UNG shoved both hands in his pockets and walked out. Fushiguro raised an eyebrow, looking at Gojo. What does already enrolled once mean? Gojo spread both hands, saying he didn't know, he'd only just heard it too. No, you don't know and you still act this casually. Fushiguro felt powerless. Gojo put his hands behind his head. It's fine. I've got a feeling it'll be interesting. After that it was free time. Young Yuji packed a bag and went to pay respects to his grandpa. But he found someone had arrived earlier than him. UNG? Were you waiting for me? And you came to pay respects to my grandpa too, thanks, that's really kind. The man called UNG didn't answer, just walked. Man, this guy is really weird. Young Yuji scratched his head and walked in. If I lived like this, it'd be super boring. He began to pray seriously. But at that moment someone patted the top of his head. Yuji jumped and hurriedly backed away, turning around. Looking closely, it was UNG. Why'd you suddenly? This afternoon you'll have an interview with the principal. Be ready. Sure enough. When they arrived in Tokyo and reached Jujutsu High, Gojo immediately brought the 2 of them to the attic where the principal was. Next, you'll have an interview with the principal. If it goes badly, you might be refused admission, so do your best. As for UNG, whether you stay and what post you'll take depends on what you're good at. The principal will interview you. Gojo walked ahead. It'll be strict too. At this moment, UNG, who was Yuji in disguise, seemed even more familiar with this place. He nodded at the words. So we really have to interview with the principal? Young Yuji muttered, then jolted. If I get rejected, doesn't that mean I'm executed immediately? What, aren't you the boss? A mouth split open on his face, grotesque. Not ranking by strength, how boring. Sorry, teacher, he shows up sometimes. Young Yuji hurriedly slapped his own face. Your body is really interesting. Gojo looked like he was pondering. I still owe you one. A Sukuna mouth grew from the back of his hand. When I take over the brat's body, I'll kill you first. Then he looked at Yuji. No, I'll kill you first. Gojo said, so you'll be the second person Sukuna fixates on. What a shame. But I'll protect him. Is he that famous? Young Yuji asked. Raiman Sukuna? Yuji explained for Gojo. A four-armed, two-faced demon god, the king of curses. Speaking of it, Yuji had later tried transforming into Sukuna's complete form too, experimenting with it. Four arms were convenient. You could form two hand signs at once. Then between him and Yu-sensei, who's stronger? Well, if Sukuna gets all his fingers back, it'd be a bit tough. Would you lose? I'll win, Gojo said as he walked forward. Yuji's steps paused slightly. He'll win, yes. But he didn't say who would win. Chapter 8, Cursed Corpse Puppetry Sorcerer. To prove I'm the all-powerful Itadori. You're too slow, Satoru. You're 8 minutes late. And, you've really outdone yourself. You don't know his abilities, character, background, how strong he is, and you just casually bring me someone to interview. Inside the attic hall, candles were lined up and the light was dim. Up ahead sat a middle-aged man cross-legged. He was carving, or rather, crafting some cute dolls. Principal, Masamichi Yaga. He looked up. You didn't even bring a single hiring form. All right. You won't be disappointed. And scolding me like that doesn't suit a principal. Gojo introduced them. This is Principal Masamichi Yaga. The principal swept his eyes over the two of them, his head starting to ache. The first one was fine, Sukuna's vessel, he understood that. The second was unclear. Bringing someone in so casually, someone with an unknown background, just because he helped once? I'm Yuji Itadori. My type is Jennifer Lawrence. Nice to meet you. Young Yuji bowed first and introduced himself. Then I'll start with you. Why are you here? Principal Yaga asked him just one question. An interview? Young Yuji said. Yuji cut in. What he wants to ask is, what will you do after you enter Jujutsu High? After you learn about curses and gain the ability to exorcise them, what will you do next? Why do you want to collect Sukuna's fingers? Incidents, accidents, illnesses, every day people you don't know die. That's normal. If someone dies because of a curse, you can't stand by and do nothing. Then what about other kinds of deaths? Yuji looked at Masamichi Yaga. Same old questions, right? This man. A grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer. He used to be the homeroom teacher for Gojo and the others, an educator with genuine passion. Now he was the principal of Jujutsu High. He was once targeted by the higher-ups as a special grade sorcerer because he created Panda, but Yaga pretended it was an accidental creation and the matter was dropped. Later, the higher-ups ordered him to reveal the true method of creation. When they got nothing, Yoshinobu Gakuganji carried out the execution under orders. In simple terms, he was killed for refusing to tell the higher-ups how to do it. Even if he had told them, he probably wouldn't have ended well. The higher-ups. Yuji looked at Yaga, who wore dark glasses. Yaga felt that gaze and raised an eyebrow. This guy's look is like he's looking at a dead man. I'm very much alive. Even with the hood on. Yaga could somehow sense the emotion in his eyes. It made Yaga uncomfortable. Wait, that's not the point. How does he know what I was going to ask? Did Gojo tell him in advance? So what's your answer? Yaga's expression didn't change. Young Yuji was a little slow, then started answering. It's a dying request. The details don't matter. Anyway, I just want to save people. A dying request. So you're only fighting curses because someone told you to? The principal said. He stood up, unsatisfied. Fail. He raised a hand and a small green creature stood up. This is called a cursed corpse. I placed a curse on it. As soon as he finished, the cursed corpse tested young Yuji. One punch sent young Yuji flying and the two quickly began trading blows. Yaga shifted his gaze to Yuji. Now it's your turn. You seem very familiar with this place, but I couldn't find you in the school records. UNG. Grade 1 sorcerer level. Unwilling to show your face. I investigated your background and your name. Blank. Like you appeared out of thin air. And that name is fake too, isn't it? I could also guess you're a curse user. Or an infiltrator sent by someone. Clearly, Yaga had done his homework. There aren't any curse users as strong as me, Yuji said, making Yaga feel like it was an outrageous claim. I'm a student here, so I'm familiar. But I'm not from this era. Hearing that weathered tone, Yaga went silent for a moment. Not from this era, what does that mean? Is he very old? A former Jujutsu High student? But Yaga searched his memory and found nothing. Could it be from even earlier? Masamichi Yaga frowned. It's fine, Principal. I believe him, Gojo cut in. You believe him? Yaga changed the subject. Then I'll ask you first. What are you here for? If I have to say it, I can get better information on curses here. I'll keep eliminating them until the end, Yuji said. If you were lacking in ability, you'd be here to hide from curses, Yaga added. You fail too. He waved his hand. Immediately, several doll-like cursed corpses were activated and stood up. The next second, they shot forward like meteors, flashing right up to Yuji. On the other side, young Yuji was already struggling against a single cursed corpse. Seeing several rush out at once made his eyelids twitch. Thankfully, he wasn't the one facing them. How will UNG handle this? Without thinking, he wondered, will he suppress them with pure martial skill? But the next second, everyone froze. 5 or 6 cursed corpses, the moment they came within a certain distance of Yuji, seemed to short-circuit and dropped out of the air. They struggled a few times, then went completely still. This, Yaga paused, then understood. So you know cursed corpses well. Using cursed energy to disrupt them, cutting the connection between their core and the cursed corpse body, returning them to a non-living state. That kind of technique required extremely high cursed energy control. No ordinary young sorcerer could do it. In Yaga's mind, the guess that he was a sorcerer from the past gained more weight. Low-grade cursed corpses. Nothing difficult, Yuji didn't continue. Cursed corpses are non-living objects that can act on their own when infused with cursed energy. They have something like a human heart called a core. If the core is destroyed, they return to their original non-living form. They can also bring back the dead. Of course, it isn't true resurrection. It's just putting the dead person's information and traits into a cursed corpse. In short, Yuji could make them too. Later Yuji had learned many more things. You do have ability, Yaga admitted. What else can you do? Make cursed tools, Yuji replied. Yaga nodded, not particularly surprised. Many people could do that. If you keep pouring cursed energy into a weapon over a long time, the weapon gradually mutates and becomes a cursed tool. It takes a long time. What Masamichi Yaga didn't know was that Yuji's method and efficiency for making cursed tools was many times faster than anyone else's. He could do it on the spot. Young Yuji burst out a wave of potential and finally subdued the cursed corpse. But then, his wrists started acting up, splitting open into a mouth. What else? This time it was Sukuna asking, seeming interested. At that moment, Yaga's gaze was also drawn to Sukuna. And also, Yuji raised a hand, grabbed Sukuna's mouth and applied a little force. A spray of blood shot from an artery. The entire arm, fascia and flesh, splattered onto the floor. He tore off young Yuji's whole arm. You brat. Sukuna's unruly mouth cut off abruptly. Yuji tossed the arm forward and Principal Yaga caught it stiffly. Before he could react, Yuji waved again. I can also do this. The next second, countless flesh buds grew. A brand new arm regenerated. Before young Yuji even felt pain, he saw his arm was already restored. He clenched his fist, completely blank. Reverse curse technique, and at a level that can heal others. Yaga held the extra severed hand, his expression shifting. Chapter 9, Even a doctor can't save the future. Masamichi Yaga couldn't sit still anymore, his view shifted instantly. But with his former student standing there, he still had to keep up the principal's posture. He tried to calm down. Was this exaggerated? No. Not at all. Reverse curse technique was rare to begin with. And among those rare few, most could only use it to heal themselves. Being able to use reverse cursed technique to heal others was rarer still. Extremely rare. At present, aside from Shoko Yeri, treated by the higher-ups as the school's prized asset, only the special grade sorcerer Yuta Okatsu had it. And Yuta Okatsu had originally learned it after seeing Shoko Yeri do it. So no matter how seriously you took this, it wasn't too much. This was a strategic resource. Shoko, treating severely injured sorcerers every day, often on night duty, stressed to the point that dark circles never left her eyes. Overwhelmingly busy. If this ability weren't rare, she wouldn't have to suffer like that. Shoko had talked to him too, but Yaga had no solution. There were too few people who could share the load. The only other one, Yuta Okatsu, was overseas on assignments. Put away that look like you're about to eat someone, principal. Even Gojo looked surprised. Eat someone? Yaga's mouth twitched slightly. He flipped out a small mirror from his palm. In it, his expression looked perfectly normal. And besides, he was wearing sunglasses. What could anyone even see? He took a breath. Reverse curse technique is hard to come by. And your understanding and fine control of cursed energy really does surpass many. Principal Yaga straightened up and stepped forward, even extending a hand. For special talent, exceptions can be made. UNG, congratulations. You pass. And since Satoru is willing to vouch for you, I can trust you unconditionally as well. So, from now on you'll be specially appointed as the school's physician. Thee won't disappoint you. His tone was serious. No more tests. Yuji politely reached out and shook his hand. My job is to be a healer? I'm better at exorcising curses. Also, I'm a cursed toolsmith. If I have suitable materials, I... Hearing that, Yaga nodded solemnly, still shaking his hand. Fine, fine. Hey. What about me? Young Yuji raised his hand, trying to grab the principal's attention. You pass too. Satoru, take him to the dorms and also introduce the security measures. As for Mr. UNG, Satoru, take him to Shoko, let him get familiar with the infirmary. We'll go with that for now. Yaga clapped his hands. Clearly he valued healing most. The shortage of talent there was far greater than combat power. Hey Shoko, I've got good news for you. As the three left, Yaga took out his phone and called Shoko. Hello? What? You found me another top-tier healer? But you don't know his background and Satoru is very optimistic. You men, are you always this careless? Shoko leaned against the infirmary desk. She just finished treating someone. Catching her breath, she got this call. I want to relax too, but whoever comes has to make me completely comfortable first. She hung up. Not long after, a figure approached. You're the kid the principal mentioned? Shoko raised her dark-circled eyes, listless. Trying to look cool, huh? Wearing a hood. It's me, Ms. Yeri. Yuji smiled. You don't trust me? Good. Staying here all the time would waste my talent. If there's an injury you can't heal, come call me. In terms of reverse cursed technique mastery, if you had to compare, even Sukuna and the others weren't on his level. He'd put in the work. If someone died within a few minutes, he was confident he could bring them back, essentially revive them. Too long was impossible. Of course, as his strength returned, that time limit could keep stretching. But Shoko didn't know any of that. Seeing him arrive and then immediately act like he was leaving, Shoko's sleepiness vanished, question marks popping up in her head. What is this? And that arrogant attitude. That overbearing confidence. She didn't like it. Seriously, what a weirdo. There's always something reverse curse technique can't fix, Shoko. Severe injuries, deaths in battle, wrongful deaths, blindness at the soul level, severed arms, severed hands, a destroyed cursed energy core being cut in half. There will always be something you can't heal. Being a doctor can't save the future. There was a kind of helplessness called unfair fate. A kind of despair called being unable to change anything. Sometimes even life-saving reverse cursed technique couldn't save the closest friends you saw every day. Until in the end you were left alone. That was Shoko's future. And he wasn't here to be a doctor. Whether Jujutsu High still doubts my identity or not, I've stayed here. It makes a lot of things easier. He might not be able to intervene too directly, but no one said he couldn't intervene indirectly. Besides healing, he could teach. He could find or make powerful curse tools for the 3 first years. All of that was growth. That way, even when he wasn't around, they could face crises on their own. Yes, even if he could quickly help recover the fingers and deal with Sukuna. Who could predict whether something even stronger might appear in the future? Like aliens, for example. Of course, I can also look for a way to increase how long I can stay, so I can remain here. He had some leads already. Observing, whether watching battles or following along, could slow the countdown a lot. After assigning dorms, Gojo, Fushiguro, and young Yuji went to meet the 3rd student. That's right. Nobara Kujisaki, coming from Morioka. Yuji was there too. Right now he was a first-year accompanying school physician, yes, a volunteer appointment. Sorry. I'm here. A girl with a red backpack got off the Shinkansen. I've come to Tokyo. She had orange eyes and short orange hair. Her uniform was a dark blue-black jacket, pleated skirt, black stockings, and brown shoes. A brown belt was tied at her waist. Overall, she was a pretty-looking girl. She walked through the big city with curiosity. When she saw talent scouts, she even pointed a thumb at herself, but the scouts looked startled and backed away. Too savage. It's Nobara before the blindfolded pirate-era youth, huh? Yuji murmured behind her. Huh? Who's talking trash about me? Nobara turned around and immediately saw four men standing side by side. They introduced themselves quickly. Nobara's first impression of the two classmates wasn't great. Then Gojo took them to tour Tokyo. You just got to Tokyo, so of course we're going sightseeing. Tokyo? Tokyo? Tokyo! Young Yuji and Nobara lit up instantly. We love Tokyo. TDL, I want to go to TDL. Idiot, TDL is in Chiba. Let's go to Chinatown, sensei. Chinatown is in Yokohama, alright. Isn't Yokohama basically Tokyo? Young Yuji yelled back. Gojo cut them off. Then I'll announce the destination. Roppongi. Nobara and young Yuji were full of anticipation. Until they arrived at a cursed building. And instantly realized they'd been tricked. Haha. Go on, youngsters. I brought the team's best support, so if you get hurt, just go to him. Gojo hooked a thumb over his shoulder toward Yuji. From now on, you can also call him Dr. UNG. Chapter 10, The Three Brats vs. Twin Special Grade Cursed Wombs. This was a test lesson. A test to see whether Nobara Kujisaki had the courage to face cursed spirits head-on, or rather, how crazy she could get when facing a curse. The crazier, the bolder. After all, a lot of jujutsu sorcerers can't overcome the disgust and fear brought by curses. They get crushed midway, lose all hope, and never recover. Satoru Gojo and Megumi Fushiguro sat on the curb by the roadside, watching young Yuji Itadori and Nobara go upstairs. As for young Itadori, Gojo was quite satisfied. He'd been a high schooler just yesterday, yet he adapted this fast. That was rare. Plenty of other sorcerers have been exposed to curses since childhood and still can't get past the mental barrier. As time passed, Nobara and young Yuji began the mission, but it went roughly. They rescued a child, but Nobara and young Yuji were also blasted out by cursed spirits, covered in injuries. Cursed spirits suddenly increased. Gojo raised an eyebrow. Yeah. Yuji pressed a hand to Nobara and young Yuji's backs. A soft glow flashed and their injuries instantly healed. The next second, Gojo smiled, then patted the two of them again, adding a bit of force, and sent them flying back into the building. And so, like that, with Yuji and Gojo helping, Nobara and young Yuji's strength began to rise rapidly. As long as they had enough stamina and willpower, they could keep fighting without worrying about getting hurt. Of course, in the days that followed, Megumi Fushiguro was no exception. During a rare bit of downtime, Yuji treated the three of them to pachinko. I know cities have more cursed spirits, more resentment and negative emotions, but not this many, not this busy, right? Nobara was exhausted these past few days. There weren't this many before, Fushiguro said. I thought it was always like this, young Yuji said. Recently, curses had multiplied. Even Gojo got sent out on a business trip in the middle of it, dealing with outbreaks of surging cursed spirits in some area. The three were tired. And the three had completely gotten used to it, treating Yuji as the medic. Especially Nobara, she was completely natural about it. By the way, these are the healing talismans I made for you. Keep them on you. If I'm not around, they can help you heal non-lethal injuries. Yuji pulled out 3 talisman papers. These days are still easy. It's going to get harsher later. These talismans were similar to the kind used to seal Sukuna's finger, but with a different effect. That one was sealing. This one was healing. He learned it from an old technique relic manuscript. Yuji even optimized it. He made them reusable in a loop, 3 uses per day. After use, they would recharge on their own. Who knew you were a craftsman, UNG? No wonder you're the best support. Nobara called him UNG directly and snatched one. She waved it while studying the patterns on it. But I can't feel any cursed energy. Does this really work? What a fast mood swing. Young Yuji muttered quietly, cough, this isn't like those fake talismans temples sell for money, is it? Fushiguro put his into his pocket without a word. Who knows? If you don't want them, you can toss them, Yuji chuckled. Complaining, huh? No. Nobara immediately stored it away and hugged it tight. She wasn't stupid. If it really worked, it was unbelievably valuable. She'd never even heard of something like this. Not just her, Megumi Fushiguro, who'd been silent, hadn't heard of it either, so he couldn't help doubting whether it was real. Beep beep. A call came in from Tokyo Jujutsu High. Nishitokyo City, Aishu Juvenile Detention Center. Above the athletic field. 3 hours ago, something had started to change. Hey, what is that? What's that thing? It looks like an egg. Several men in modified uniforms and prison attire lifted their heads to stare at the sky. Up there. Something seemed to be hanging. 3 hours later, at the detention center. The sky was dim. A light rain drizzled down and there were many unfamiliar faces here now. This is the situation. Our window confirmed a cursed womb about 3 hours ago. Evacuation guidance reached about 90%. Based on the scene, we sealed the facility. Residents within a 500-meter radius have completed evacuation. Worth noting, our window misjudged it. It isn't one cursed womb. It's two. Assistant Supervisor Kiyotaka Ajichi explained the situation. On the nearby streets, police were cooperating to clear people out. Several patrol cars were parked, so the area was empty. Aside from the sound of rain, it was very quiet. Ijichi-san, I have a question. What is a window? Young Yuji raised his hand like a student. Ijichi patiently answered. A window is a Jujutsu high-affiliated person who can visually observe curses, but isn't a sorcerer. I see. Continuing. 5 detainees are in the second dormitory together with the 2 cursed wombs. If the cursed wombs fully hatch, they are predicted to become special grade cursed spirits. At the mention of special grade, young Yuji asked again, I don't have a sense for it. What is special grade? Yuji explained for Ajichi. Simply put, assuming normal weapons worked on cursed spirits. A grade 4 cursed spirit can be handled easily with a wooden baseball bat. A grade 3 cursed spirit, you'd feel barely safe with a handgun. A grade 2 cursed spirit, a shotgun can barely do it. For grade 1 and semi-grade 1, even bringing in a tank would still be hard. And for special grade, even carpet bombing with cluster munitions wouldn't work. And the gap between special grades is also huge. Some are even farther apart than the gap from grade 4 to special grade. Hearing that, young Yuji broke into a cold sweat. That strong? We don't have cluster bombs and we definitely don't have fighter jets. Fushiguro glanced at him. A special grade sorcerer should be dispatched, like Gojo-sensei, but he's away on assignment. Ijichi nodded. Yes. Being understaffed is normal in this line of work. We often get missions we can't handle, especially with curses being abnormally active lately. But this is an emergency abnormal incident. You must not fight. When you encounter a special grade, you only have 2 options, death or escape. He understood the stakes and had seen far too many tragedies. This time, listen to your fear. Your mission is only to confirm and rescue survivors. Don't get involved in anything else. He looked at the hooded Yuji and very seriously held up 2 fingers. These are 2 special grade cursed wombs. Even with you accompanying them. Dr. Yuenji, don't act recklessly. He had heard about it. This specially hired Dr. Yuenji seemed very capable, but this situation was different. It wasn't something a normal grade 1 sorcerer could deal with. No matter how fast the healing, could it be faster than special grade slaughter? If it became a life or death battle, there were too many variables. No one knew what the outcome would be. Anyway, please be extremely careful. At the same time, near the gate, a mother ran over but was quickly stopped by 4 or 5 men in suits. Excuse me, Azumi. Don't come closer. Please calm down. It's dangerous here. Step back. Azumi, my son Azumi is inside. Is he okay? Why did you seal this place? The mother was frantic. Young Yuji watched from afar, feeling it deeply, unable to bear it. If this mother knew the truth, her son inside with dangerous cursed spirits, she would be. Nobara and Fushiguro's eyes were also drawn to the scene. It's a guardian here for a visit, Ijichi explained, then turned to the mother. Please go home. We suspect someone has poisoned the facility, so we can't disclose more information for now. A kind lie. What? How could that be? Why is this happening? The mother swayed, squatted on the ground, covered her face, and cried. Fushiguro, Nobara, Yuji, let's go save people. Young Yuji couldn't take it anymore. He clenched his fists and slapped them together hard. Of course, Nobara answered immediately. Fushiguro said nothing. They moved forward quickly. As Nobara walked, she bumped the person beside her with her elbow and said quietly. Yuji, why are you always so quiet? It's fine. If there's danger, I've got it covered. She hooked a thumb toward her own chin. Chapter 11, Blood Manipulation? No, you're not worth it yet. Just handle logistics. She patted Yuji on the shoulder, her tone bossy, the meaning obvious. If there's real danger, I'll cover you while you retreat. She arrived late, and these past few days she hadn't seen him fight, so saying that was normal. Not to mention her rapidly growing combat experience had made her increasingly cocky. Then thanks, Your Majesty. Yuji smiled carelessly. They quickly reached the target floor, the second dormitory area. Ijichi, thin and slight, stopped and said goodbye to the four of them. Please be very careful. He was support staff responsible for driving sorcerers, setting up the curtain barrier, issuing mission instructions, and other back-end work. He was good at handling errands, not combat. So getting this far was his limit. Now set the curtain. After speaking, Ijichi looked over the entire detention center and chanted in a low voice. From darkness be born. In darkness be the deepest. Filth and impurity be exorcised completely. The next second, a pitch-black barrier descended from the sky, covering the entire detention center. It got dark, young Yuji shouted. That's a curtain. It's close to residential areas, so we use a barrier to hide us from the outside. Fushiguro finally spoke. To avoid causing public panic, anything involving jujutsu and curses was always kept secret. You're way too clueless, Itadori. Nobara crossed her arms, exhaled, her hair fluttering. Divine dogs. Fushiguro formed a hand sign, and from a massive shadow a Shikigami dog emerged. If a curse approaches, it will warn us. Oh, I see. Good boy, we're counting on you. Young Yuji crouched and patted its head. Then they pushed the door open and went inside and were met with a sea of crimson. Pipes ran in every direction, the ceiling was empty, nothing like a dormitory. What is this? Is this a dorm or some kind of duplex? Young Yuji hesitated. Even Fushiguro, who had seen a lot and had been exposed to curses since childhood, was sweating. Neither. This is an innate domain created by cursed energy. I've never seen one this big. Where's the door? Young Yuji asked. The door is gone. No way, we came in through here. Nobara panicked too. What do we do? What do we do now? Their mouths were frantic, and their bodies started swaying like waves, almost dancing, excited in a way that was bizarre. Maybe this was the kind of crazy Gojo talked about. An absurd ability to adapt, finding looseness inside tension. It's fine. Divine Dogs remembers the scent of the entrance. Oh man, what a good kid, young Yuji's eyes lit up. Give him jerky, bring me all the jerky. Will you two get serious? Fushiguro roared in helpless frustration at the two clowns. Fushiguro, you're so reliable. With you here, the survivors can be saved and I can be saved too. And with Yuji here, even if we get hurt, we'll get treated right away. Now we have even less to worry about. Nobara waved a hand, hyping herself up. Fushiguro pinched the bridge of his nose. Keep moving. But reality was far more brutal than they imagined. They didn't follow Divine Dogs for long before they saw a corpse, dead horribly, already gone cold. The mood turned heavy. Young Yuji crouched down immediately, and when he saw the name, he clenched his teeth. Azuma. They were too late. He was about to say something, but Yuji shook his head and stopped him. How could Yuji not know what he was thinking? More than that, Yuji had already lived through this scene. It's pointless. It's been too long. The soul has already scattered. Even if you heal the body, it would just be an empty shell. Young Yuji could only give up. But he was still too immature. Thinking of the boy's mother at the gate, he wanted to carry the body out. Fushiguro objected immediately. I'm taking him back. He's that mother's son. But, Nobara said. You can still recognize his face. If there's no body and you just say he died, his mom will never accept it, young Yuji said. The body stays. We still have to confirm whether the other two are alive, Fushiguro said. Don't joke with me. The way back is already gone. This domain, it's like that kind of horror where you walk in circles. We won't get a chance to come back. I never said we'd come back. I wasn't even planning on saving anyone, and now you want to haul a corpse out too? I'm not doing that. What did you just say? This is a juvenile detention center. Sorcerers knew all the intel in advance. Do you really think any of them were good people? The two started arguing on the spot. That's enough, What are you two doing, are you stupid? Nobara clenched her fist and stepped in, out of patience. At least consider where we are. And Yuji, you should say something too. It's fine. They have to go through it. Yuji said. Huh? What? Nobara was about to snap back. The next second, a pool of black liquid appeared beneath them and dragged the two of them down instantly. Nobara. Fushiguro turned, and saw that not only had Nobara vanished, even divine dogs had been embedded into the wall dead. Something that could do all of that in an instant could only be special grade. Itadori, run. We'll find Nobara and Yuji later. Fushiguro shouted at young Yuji. Too late. At their side, a humanoid cursed spirit appeared, grotesque and horrifying. Special grade imaginary cursed spirit. Cursed womb, deity bearing. The overwhelming pressure froze them in place, unable to move. Before it even attacked, they already felt the suffocating difference in power. Where is this place? Yuji, you got pulled down too? Nobara was in total darkness, but she could feel someone beside her. I came down on purpose. Yuji's face didn't change as he observed the surroundings. On purpose? Nobara didn't dwell on it. I haven't seen you fight once. Fine. Stand behind me like usual. Leave it to me. After saying that, Yuji, under the name Yuji, actually obediently moved behind her. You really don't hold back, huh? Nobara chuckled. Then, dense mask-faced cursed spirits appeared in front of them. All grade 4, but there were so many, at a glance dozens. No, there are already over 100. And there are more lurking in the dark. There should be some around grade 3. Yuji pointed toward a corner. Centipede-shaped, mushroom-shaped, tick-shaped. How are there this many? Nobara felt it getting messy. No time for nonsense, she pulled out nails and a hammer, her cursed tool. Bang! Bang bang bang. After several dozen seconds she'd used up all her nails, panting hard. I should have brought more. She looked awkward, but remembering she was shielding someone behind her, she could only force herself back in. Another several dozen seconds passed. The cursed spirits piled up even more. Nobara was a beat too slow and finally couldn't hold. She got blasted back more than 10 meters. She barely stood up, and by now her forehead was smeared with blood. Huff huff. Nobara panted, her head splitting. Yuji, heal me. And there are too many. Stay farther back. If it comes to it, you can run first, she said. About at her limit now. Yuji stepped closer and placed his hand on Nobara's forehead. He wiped away some blood. That single motion cost time, and the cursed spirits were already closing in from every direction. The sense of danger surged. What are you doing? Nobara glared, clearly misunderstanding. At a time like this, you finally notice my charm and start getting handsy? Nobara slapped his hand away. Fine. Now you can't get away either. Yuji said nothing, only lightly clenched the blood in his hand. Squelch. Like something got crushed. The next second. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The compressed blood turned into hundreds of diamond-hard pellets, instantly breaking the sound barrier, scattering in every direction like a storm of petals. Bang bang bang. Those grade 3 and grade 4 cursed spirits, radiating thick malice, all froze. Then, holes opened across their bodies. They were through and through wounds. The blood spikes were smaller than needle tips, yet the damage they caused was as wide as bowls. It was absurd. Huff huff huff. More than 100 cursed spirits in the area all dissolved into black mist. And it didn't stop there. In corners no one could see. Hundreds more cursed spirits scattered around the building on every floor were pierced straight through walls and killed in a line. Yuji relaxed his hand again. The blood in his palm lines had been used up completely. So you won't even lend me a little blood, Nobara? A moment ago, Nobara was hunched like a mother tiger ready to fight to the death. The next moment, goosebumps rose all over her. From that close, the speed of that blood just now had been a hair's breadth from death. Why you? Nobara's teeth chattered and she couldn't form a full sentence. Chapter 12, Cursed Energy Shielding? Who can't do that? Wait, no. That was her blood? Just a few drops of blood and it caused that kind of terrifying damage? Nobara Kujisaki's head was buzzing like a swarm of bees crashing around inside it. The cursed spirits she'd been fighting herself half to death and still couldn't handle were wiped out that easily. The next second, her cheeks flushed bright red, even the tips of her ears burning. Because everything she'd just said was still fresh in her mind. Saying he was deliberately rubbing on her, deliberately taking advantage, calling him a dirty pervert. Now it looked like she'd totally misunderstood and overthought it. Wait. Aren't you rated as a grade 1 sorcerer because your reverse curse technique is insanely good? That's what she'd always believed. With this level, he was still just a medic? Was Jujutsu High really hiding that much? Yuji glanced at her. Did Fushiguro and the others never talk about me? They did, but not that. To the end, Nobara had thought UNG was simply an absurdly strong support. They said you were amazing. I thought it meant healing. She steadied her emotions but still looked embarrassed. If I'd known you were this strong, you should have shown it earlier. And also, was that blood manipulation just now? She asked. Can you control someone else's blood after touching it? It wasn't. Yuji slipped his hand back into his pocket. Huh. Nobara's eyes widened again. What do you mean it wasn't? It wasn't blood manipulation. It was just a simple trick, wrapping blood in cursed energy. Yuji explained patiently. Against a bunch of grade 3 and grade 4 cursed spirits, even if there were more than usual, it still wasn't to the point of using a technique. Blood manipulation? Of course he could use it. And that technique was massively underestimated. The Jujutsu world had the 3 great families. The Zenin clan, the Gojo clan, the Kumo clan. They controlled top-tier techniques and resources, and they were the core of power in the Jujutsu world. The Gojo clan had the limitless. The Zenin clan had the 10 shadows technique. The Kumo clan had blood manipulation. Think about it. A technique that could stand alongside the other 2, how could it be simple? It depended on the user. Different technique quality, different understanding, different power on display. Great results, high inheritance rate, low entry barrier. Unlike Limitless plus 6 eyes, which was basically pure lottery luck. Close range, mid-range, long range. Healing, ambush, shields. There were many ways to use it. If developed properly, the ceiling was high. At deeper levels, it really could control an opponent's blood. Even if it couldn't, it could still weaken that limitation. If you can't control blood that isn't yours, then can you control your own blood that's mixed inside someone else? Infiltrate, rupture from within, tear apart, explode. If their blood type is different from yours, even better. With only a little blood, you can trigger a hemolytic reaction. Acute hemolysis can show fever, chills, chest pain, and in severe cases, rapid shock and death. And there were biochemical weapon uses too. His blood was toxic. Not just shaping it into random forms. Anyway, in short, what he used just now really was a small trick, not blood manipulation. Stop freaking out. Bring back that attitude you had when you first came in, acting like you'd protect me. Yuji smiled provocatively. Nobara thought of the other 2 and grew anxious. Then now we should. Boom! A shock came from above. Right after, 2 figures dropped down. One was a pale humanoid cursed spirit wearing only a pair of big shorts, nothing else. The other was Fushiguro Megumi, fully clothed but drenched in blood. The humanoid cursed spirit hooked Fushiguro with one finger. Fushiguro looked like a stray dog, toyed with from start to finish. If not for the healing talisman restoring him, it would have been worse. Run. Those blood drops just now were your doing, UNG? That works on ordinary curses, but it won't work on this thing. Fushiguro forced his mind awake and warned them. He. The humanoid cursed spirit tossed Fushiguro aside, spotted a new toy, and got even more excited. At the same time, the pressure of a special grade spread. Nobara, just like young Yuji and Fushiguro earlier, went rigid in place. So this is a special grade cursed spirit. Why can't I move? And Fushiguro got crushed instantly? No. Move. 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 She kept ordering herself. There are 2 cursed wombs. This is one of them. Let's just call them both deity-bearing. The moment they're born, they're special grade. For where you are right now, it's definitely too much. Yuji pressed his palm to Nobara's narrow back and gave a slight push. Want to try? Tap, tap, tap. Nobara took several steps forward in brown leather shoes, and only then did the stiffness vanish. Me try? She pointed at herself in disbelief. This wasn't even the same level. This should need at least a semi-grade 1 sorcerer, right? But Nobara swallowed, waved her small hammer and trusted her back to him. Hey, you'll heal me, right? Yeah, Yuji said. Then I'm going. Nobara didn't waste words. Knowing this was training, she took a deep breath and stepped in. She searched for an angle, a weakness, trying to land a strike on deity-bearing with her hammer. Bang! Everything went smoothly at first. She found the angle and swung down hard. But the hammer stopped in midair above the special grade cursed spirit. At least a meter away it hung there. Heh hee hee hee. Deity-bearing kept a stretched, relaxed posture, releasing cursed energy. Nobara froze. I can't bring it down. What is this? No technique, just cursed energy, a cursed energy barrier. In the next instant, before she could finish the thought, she was bounced back by the special grade cursed energy. Even that mere rebound force heavily injured Nobara, dropping her to the floor, unable to rise. Yuji pressed down with one hand, reverse curse technique activated, and healed her instantly. The gap was too big. You found the timing, but it released cursed energy at that exact moment too, Yuji said. He was cut off by Nobara and Fushiguro's shocked shout. Watch out! Whoosh! Before anyone noticed, deity-bearing had vanished. It seemed to know who was strongest, who posed the greatest threat, and lost interest in the other toys instantly. Who? A gale slammed in. Deity-bearing appeared above, swept one hand, and a massive amount of cursed energy condensed into something tangible, striking down at Yuji. Yes, the target was Yuji. Boom! But when Deity-bearing's attack reached 3 meters from Yuji, it was blocked by something invisible, then gradually dispersed. Huh? Deity-bearing's 4 eyes widened as if to say, why didn't it work? Since the moment it was born, this was the first time it had encountered something like this. It had always had everything go its way. Chapter 13, Unlimited Base Slashes? You really did show up. It was the same as what happened when Nobara struck the cursed womb earlier. An enemy simply couldn't get close. Only this time the roles were reversed. Cursed womb, deity-bearing couldn't get near Yuji. Megumi Fushiguro panted hard, then from his injuries passed out. Yuji was observing something. The countdown in front of him. Under passive defense, it didn't seem to count as taking action. The countdown didn't change, still ticking down little by little. If he didn't act and only watched, it would extend his remaining time. So that's the mechanism. But I'm not going to be just a passerby. Ha! Heh! Tui! Deity-bearing gathered a wad of cursed energy like old phlegm and spat it down hard. Boom! Useless. It shattered on impact. Deity-bearing's expression changed. It switched to close combat, wrapping its fist in cursed energy. Thud thud thud. Punch after punch, dozens in a single second, fast as afterimages. Every blow was heavy and lethal, enough to instantly kill low-level sorcerers. But against Yuji's barrier, it only rippled in layers. How do you make a special grade cursed out itself? Like this. You just have to be stronger than it. Deity-bearing's muscles swelled, its attacks growing more frantic, but it still couldn't get close. You've got it rough too. Yuji actually dispelled the cursed energy barrier, lowering the difficulty for it. Deity-bearing didn't care. The moment it was gone, it didn't thank him, it immediately lunged. Rah! Dense orange cursed energy erupted, blasting at Yuji again. Before it even reached him, the shockwaves tore the ground open for over 10 meters, terrifying in power. 3 meters. 2. 1. That razor-sharp cursed energy fist kept closing in on Yuji. 1 centimeter. At 1 centimeter, it suddenly collided with an invisible wave of slashes, like hitting a meat grinder. In an instant, Deity-bearing's arm was shredded into pulp. Huh? Huh. Ooh-arag. It screamed, feeling the pain, feeling its arm turn empty, and immediately stopped. It leapt back more than 10 meters in fear. Then, it stared at the severed arm, its face shifting as if it were trying to force something out. A few seconds passed. The severed arm was still severed. Nothing happened. Huh. The curse looked at its empty arm, then at Yuji, then back at the arm. Normally, cursed spirits naturally regenerate. It's innate. They don't need to learn reverse curse technique to heal. But it wasn't working. No flesh buds grew. It didn't recover. It couldn't understand. It couldn't comprehend. Oh right, I forgot to turn off that layer. Sorry. Yuji looked like he'd suddenly remembered, patting his own head. But you really did show up right on cue. I honestly didn't expect you couldn't even handle something at this level. Then, the invisible blades around him, not even that strong, dispersed completely. Deity Bearing bared its teeth, its crazed gaze sweeping over the stunned Nobara, and finally landing on Megumi Fushiguro, still unconscious on the ground. If it couldn't beat Yuji, it would crush the weak toy first and vent its rage. Its legs filled with blood, muscles swelling as it burst with cursed energy. It launched. Boom! Deity Bearing's head exploded. Such a drag. It was Yuji. He casually grabbed its head and crushed it. It was so fast the special grade curse had zero time to react. Brains splattered, but not a single drop landed on Yuji. The headless body thudded to the ground, and the air turned eerily quiet again. So you were this strong the whole time? UNG. Nobara Kujisaki's eyes were wide. That was a special grade cursed spirit. Special grade. Damn it. So he didn't act sooner because he was training them? One reason is training, Yuji said, as if seeing through her thoughts. Another is that the more times I act, the sooner I might have to leave Jujutsu High. Nobara frowned. I don't understand anything you're saying. It's nothing. Yuji turned around. Also, that was just a newborn special grade. No technique. It hasn't even mastered its full power. Just a baby venting cursed energy. Nothing impressive. Yuji spoke like it was trivial. You cut open its chest and look. Huh. What do you mean, huh? Do it. Yuji deliberately made his tone stern. Future Nobara wouldn't be this obedient, letting him order her around. Now it was different. The longer he stayed, the more he understood how many benefits there were to going back. Fine. You're strong, I'll listen, but I'll surpass you. Nobara's competitiveness flared. She crouched and searched, smashing open the cursed womb's chest with her hammer, but there was nothing inside. Nothing? Then Sukuna's finger is on the other side. As Yuji spoke, he healed Megumi Fushiguro, who had already passed out. But this guy. Maybe he was simply too exhausted. His injuries were gone, but his nerves had been stretched too tight. He stayed asleep. Take him out. I'll handle the rest. Yuji waved a hand. Nobara hesitated, then nodded. She grabbed Megumi by the back of his collar and ran out. A cursed spirit, even a newly born small special grade, still has plenty of value. Yuji pressed down with one hand. The dead deity bearing was squeezed by invisible cursed energy, compressed again and again, until it became a ball of flesh. Cursed spirits were curses. He could use curses to make cursed tools, even cursed corpses, so this was valuable material. Used well, it could become a lot of useful things. Nobara dragged Megumi all the way out of the detention center. Yes. They found the way out. Deity Bearing's newborn domain collapsed the instant it died, giving them a chance to leave the dormitory area. Finally, Nobara dragged Megumi roughly to a black sedan. Kiyotaka Ajichi was standing by the car. Seeing this, his eyelids twitched. What happened, Kujisaki? No time to explain. Nobara took 2 breaths. UNG, that guy, who knew he was actually so. Sorry to cut in, Kujisaki. Ajichi raised a hand gently. You should be more polite. Call him Dr. UNG or Sensei. He's older than you. You could even call him Uncle. Nobara nodded, then reacted and crossed her arms into a huge X. At a time like this you're talking about etiquette? I'm saying this special grade cursed spirit was dealt with, but there's still another one. Hearing special grade, Ajichi froze, then shocked disbelief hit him. It had only been a short time. One special grade was already dead? And they did it with their level of strength? Chapter 14, Facing Sukuna. Expand the evacuation radius. The mission was only rescue, yet they'd directly overcleared it? Even counting Mr. Yuji, it should have been extremely hard, since they were facing special grade. Yes, Ijichi had also assumed this man leaned more toward pure healing. The higher-ups hadn't disclosed much extra information, or rather they didn't know much either. They only cared about how precious his reverse curse technique was. Hey, don't underestimate people. But there's still one left. I think it should be fine. Nobara recalled everything she'd just witnessed. Ijichi-san, expand the evacuation zone to 10 kilometers. Megumi Fushiguro at some point had woken up. He slowly straightened and offered a different judgment. You're awake already, Fushiguro? Nobara raised an eyebrow. This isn't over, Kujisaki. Fushiguro understood more of what was happening. Itadori was fighting a special grade alone. He definitely can't win. He'll wake Sukuna. Yuji isn't just facing the other deity bearing. He'll probably have to face Sukuna too. Nobara froze. Crap, she forgot the Curse King from 1,000 years ago. She hadn't seen Sukuna and didn't know exactly how strong he was, but he was definitely trouble. My concern is, what if Sukuna teams up with deity bearing? That was the part Fushiguro found troublesome. But as the vessel, Itadori can switch Sukuna back out, right? Nobara asked. In theory. Fushiguro's voice sank. But I've got a bad feeling. He wanted to go look. If things really became uncontrollable, he would act. 10 Shadows wasn't for show, and he still had a trump card. Actually, in the normal course of events, it wasn't that big a deal. Yuji would support Itadori, Itadori would press Sukuna's consciousness back down, everyone would be happy. But, better safe than sorry. It had already been a while. If it was going to be resolved, it should have been resolved already, yet there was still no movement, something probably went wrong. Ijichi nodded. He knew it wouldn't end that easily. Then we'll do as you say, Fushiguro-san. We'll expand the evacuation zone first. Ijichi didn't waste words. He temporarily lifted the curtain, took out a communicator, and had the outer personnel expand the evacuation area. At the same time, personnel in all directions, along with the metropolitan police units involved, received the order and began moving. Unconditional cooperation, those were the higher-ups' instructions. Ordinary people didn't need to know. But departments that occasionally dealt with this kind of thing couldn't afford not to know, because you only get one life. A single special grade cursed spirit, even the weakest kind, would have horrifying killing efficiency if it got out. Ijichi asked, "Do you still need me?" "No, Ijichi-san. You're not useful here. Try not to get close. Stay far away," Fushiguro said bluntly. Ijichi was embarrassed, feeling a little offended. "Unless you can get grade 1 or above grade 1 sorcerers here as reinforcements." "But I doubt there's anyone," Fushiguro said. "I'll do my best." Ijichi took a deep breath. "I'll do my best to contact someone." Fushiguro turned and looked at the detention center field and the buildings, his heart heavy. "If something really happens to that guy, then I'll have to be the one to end him. You had to consider every consequence, prepare for the worst. Because this Sukuna had eaten 2 fingers, different from just one. He didn't care what others said. He only did what he believed was right. Seriously, you're impossible." Nobara didn't understand, but could only grit her teeth and follow. "Even though we can't help with anything," Fushiguro said coldly, "you don't have to come." "Like hell I'm not coming. I still have to carry you out again," Nobara rolled her eyes. Inside the detention center dormitory area. In an extremely wide space, young Yuji was getting crushed by the other deity-bearing. He had no chance to fight back. This one was stronger than the first, because it contained Sukuna's finger. So, beaten to the brink, nearly dying, young Yuji had no choice but to call Sukuna out and switch. "This brat is really pissing me off. He's completely looking down on me." Sukuna patted deity-bearing's shoulder. "Wait a second. I'm thinking about how to make that brat regret it. Before I catch up to his companions, I'll get pressed back down by the brat, right? Oh, I've got a good idea. Come with me." His extreme vocal fry rang out. He flicked his fingers, telling it to follow. Unfortunately, this deity-bearing didn't listen at all. Not only did it not follow, it turned around and hit him. Clearly, its intelligence wasn't there yet. Sukuna's forward step paused slightly. Idiot. Dozens of seconds later, Sukuna stood on a huge rock. In front of him, deity bearing had been dismembered into several pieces and pinned into the wall. Hey, you know what? We're both categorized as special grade, me and you. NNGHAA. Deity bearing bared its teeth. It wasn't dead yet, forcing itself to move, arms trembling. Then its entire dismembered body healed back together. Its regeneration was absurdly strong. Good, special grade, keep it up, keep it up. Boom. Deity bearing leapt down, looking excited like it had finally found an opponent. You look happy. Want me to praise you? Sukuna bent down, teasing it. But unlike humans, healing isn't hard for cursed spirits. He planned to use a bit more strength and finish it. Let me show you. Deity bearing instinctively took a step back. Then a voice suddenly came. Looks like this one developed better. A figure dropped from above, landing perfectly between Sukuna and deity bearing, separating them cleanly. So it's you, brat. Sukuna chuckled. I wasn't even looking for you and yet you came to me. Sukuna paused, eyes lowering. Huh? Haha. Deity bearing looked at Yuji, then at Sukuna, left then right. Seeing no one paying it attention, it instantly felt looked down on. Deity bearing enraged. It was being ignored. It was being underestimated. Deity bearing clapped its hands together and pulled, forming a massive orange glowing sphere. Huff huff huff. Huff huff huff. Huff huff huff. Violent cursed energy churned the air. In about a second, it spun up a spiral orb the size of a basketball. Deity bearing braced, drew both hands back, then hurled it at Yuji. Whoosh! Yuji turned sideways and raised a finger. A cursed energy pellet the size of a grain of rice formed instantly, burning with black cursed energy. No charge up. He flicked his finger. Whoosh! Rice grain met basketball. At the moment of collision, the rice grain crushed the basketball, pierced straight through and slammed into deity bearing. Crackle! Crackle crackle! Black cursed energy exploded like coiling lightning dragons, wrapping around it and detonating across its body. Ah! Area! A horrifying scream erupted. From here it tore through the dormitory zone, through floors, all the way outside. What was that sound? Even Ajichi heard it and shivered. Several men in suits and sunglasses rushed over to ask for instructions. Ijichi-san, should we retreat? Farther? Chapter 15. You know soul summoning? Sukuna is shocked. Ijichi, wait a second. At the same time, the cursed spirit scream also helped Nobara and Megumi lock on and find the right direction. Over there. Sorry. There isn't a weaker move than that. As Yuji spoke, black smoke poured from deity bearing's mouth. It had been blown unconscious. The innate domain it had expanded dispersed with it. Yuji reached out through the air, and his remaining cursed energy began compressing. In the end, he compressed deity bearing into a sphere. Smaller. Smaller again. It didn't stop until it was the size of a cherry. Material +1. In the future, when cursed energy hit a low point and sorcerers weakened, cursed spirits weakened in turn. Special grade cursed spirits became rarer and rarer, kill one and there's one less, unlike now. And there were still plenty that hadn't been killed. As Yuji stepped forward, he picked it up, along with the scattered Sukuna finger. Up close, the finger looked like a spiced chicken foot, except the taste was on a completely different level. Sukuna had been watching the whole time. He wasn't brainless. When he encountered someone novel and couldn't do anything, of course he would analyze and figure out what technique was being used. Compressing a cursed spirit? Cursed spirit manipulation. He rubbed his chin with one hand, then noticed something. No. Not cursed spirit manipulation, just raw cursed energy control. Oh? A craftsman type? Interesting. This kind of handling was rare. Only a master-level cursed toolmaker would have it. And it required specific methods too. With this level of skill, even in ancient times, you'd see very few talents like that. Too bad. That brat will reclaim control and kick me offline. But there'll be chances. Sukuna sounded like he was saying farewell. He still didn't have full use of the body and could be forced out at any moment, so he could only say goodbye. Hey, brat. He started calling. But after he called, 3 seconds passed with no response. Sukuna was still possessing the body. Don't mess with me. If you're coming out, hurry up. He grew impatient and slowly closed his eyes. When Sukuna opened his eyes again, he became increasingly excited. Hey, what's going on? Ha 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 ha. The brat can't wake up for now? A savage grin spread across his face. Then he looked straight at Yuji. Then your execution gets moved up. I'll kill you right now. He rolled his neck. Last time he'd been caught off guard and got ambushed. This time it would be head-on, and he even had 1 extra finger's worth of power. 2 fingers wasn't as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Sukuna's excitement rose, then his gaze drifted to the finger in Yuji's hand. Yuji's thoughts moved. He ignored Sukuna's stare. Calling myself Yuji feels weird. I'll call the younger one Yuji for now. Still basically the same. So the younger one is Yuji and I'm Yuji. Yuji remembered. At this point, the younger Yuji had passed out, so he couldn't switch back right away. Sukuna took advantage. After that came ripping out the heart, fighting Fushiguro, and then making a binding vow, a deal. He promised to revive him. But to make the vow there were 2 conditions. When the phrase in chain was spoken, he would hand over the body for 1 minute. Second condition, forget that agreement. That in chain became a hidden bomb for everything that followed. Now that it's happening again, Yuji wasn't going to let this bastard run wild a second time. Hey, what are you spacing out for? You think I'm like that earlier special grade? Sukuna snapped Yuji back. His eyes were wild and arrogant, making it hard to meet his gaze. Special grade, in my eyes you're only about grade 1 right now. Yuji smiled. About on par with a grade 1 sorcerer. As he spoke, he casually tossed the finger away. I won't take advantage of you. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Let's call it a fair fight. Yuji was 83, but he still had a sincere heart. One word, kindness. Only the throw was awkward. The arc died halfway and the finger dropped short, not reaching Sukuna. Meaning, if Sukuna really wanted to eat that finger, he'd have to trot over like a stray dog and bend down to pick it up. Pick it up like a dog. Yuji probably didn't mean it that way, but that one motion created a huge misunderstanding and directly set Sukuna off. Sukuna's eyes widened to the limit, catching a trace of pity. You bastard, are you pitying me? His purple nails lengthened. Veins bulged on his hands. Heh. Pity. He's pitying me? Sukuna had originally been thinking, kill Yuji first, then pick up the finger. Now, even if Yuji died, he didn't even feel like taking that finger anymore, like it had been contaminated. Nobara and Megumi found this place after the domain vanished, and they heard Sukuna's furious voice. It's fine. Come in. Yuji tilted his head slightly and even waved them in, urging them to hurry. Like missing the banquet would be a loss. This is perfect teaching time. Gojo isn't here. From now on I'll substitute and you'll learn deeper things. Inexperience. He naturally had more. It was just that earlier, with Gojo around, he couldn't overstep. Now it was fine. Hearing Yuji say that, a cough came from outside, and then Megumi and Nobara really stepped in. You're treating this like a picnic, all of you. You ambushed me once and now you're arrogant. Modern sorcerers really have never been put through real hell. So this is Sukuna after taking over Itadori? Nobara blinked. It was her first time seeing it. Purple nails. Sharp teeth. Face marked with rings of strange patterns. The aura was completely different from before. Megumi raised a hand, warning. Don't let your guard down. Let's stay back. Yuji, wake up. Class is starting, don't doze off. Yuji spoke. His voice struck at the soul, and it actually pulled the younger Yuji back a little. Not fully back, but he was showing signs of waking. Half asleep, half awake, no longer fully unconscious, able to sense what was happening outside. A soul-related technique, your technique is exposed. Sukuna stopped wasting words and attacked first. Whoosh! He moved like lightning. Nobara and Megumi couldn't see it at all. In a blink, Sukuna was already in front of Yuji. Who? A punch, wind roared. Yuji turned and slipped aside. The gust blew Nobara and Megumi's clothes and hair violently in the distance. Sukuna didn't stop. Blow after blow after blow, faster and faster. Yuji matched his speed, steady, controlled, completely at ease. You're really eager, Sukuna. And your temper is still garbage. The countdown showed no change. Yuji had acted. During a gap in the strikes, he seized the incoming fist and applied force in an instant. In that moment, Sukuna's chaotic assault, every trick and movement, stopped dead. Sukuna's expression changed sharply. Chapter 16. Dual Fields Laid Out? If I had to describe it, it's like 100 layers of iron clamps tightening with no cursed energy fluctuation. Was it pure physical force? Actually, it's not surprising. As the king of curses, Sukuna's perspective is beyond ordinary, and this little force is nothing to him. He's encountered much stronger opponents than this. So what's all this about? But wait, this guy should be specialized in reverse curse techniques and soul-based techniques, right? Not cursed energy manipulation or handiwork. Why so many tricks? Is this just a talentless kid? Sukuna stopped his thoughts and sneered. I know, it's this brat's weak body that's holding me back. Using someone else's body after all, you're always limited by the host's body, and it's so annoying. Kid, time and time again I have to say you really are lucky. Sukuna kicked out, casually flipping Itadori into the air before landing smoothly. Sukuna's two-finger strength is about 10% of his full power. Itadori, too, is at just 10%. His cursed energy, spirit energy, soul power, and other special abilities are only at 10% of their potential. Physically, due to his time travel, he's affected, but since his body is based on Itadori's original strength, it's recovering faster. But even so, Sukuna's movements, in Itadori's dynamic vision and perception, are still slow like a snail. So I told you I'll feed you the third finger. Now it's just beginning. Sukuna's fists ignited with cursed energy. Earlier, that was pure physical. Now Sukuna unleashed his next level of power. Now let's begin the real lesson. First lesson, Jing-Ting Fist. This technique suits you, little Yuji. The principle is to wrap cursed energy around the fist and strike the enemy. But the cursed energy follows just after the punch, delivering a secondary shock with greater penetration power. It's like the flow of cursed energy. Kind of like hockey in one piece. Some say this technique can't handle special grade opponents, but that's not necessarily true. It all depends on the user. While constantly retreating, Itadori continued explaining while Sukuna pushed him into a corner. Sukuna had reached the peak of his current physical and cursed energy potential. The ground cracked even more under their fight, like tofu being crushed. At the same time, they were getting closer to Fushiguro and Kujisaki. Anyone want to try it out? Itadori quickly turned his head. Fushiguro took a step back, refusing to engage. Kujisaki stood there, dazed. Huh? What? Itadori grabbed her hand. Experience the power of Jing-Ting Fist? Kujisaki was completely confused, not reacting in time before being pulled in close. Pay attention. With a word, Itadori grabbed her fist, launching it like a super crossbow with his cursed energy mixed with hers, smashing it towards Sukuna. Jing-Ting Fist. Sukuna's eyes widened as he felt the oncoming power, crossing his arms for defense. Boom! The first impact was pure physical force. Sukuna spat out a mouthful of acid. The second blow, the delayed cursed energy shock. Boom! Instantly, Sukuna's arm bent. When it reached its limit of flexibility, it was sent flying, crashing through several thick walls. Boom! 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 He crashed through the whole building. Finally, he slammed into a large tree outside, stopping just before it. Hiss! The light rain continued to fall. The tree pit emitted thick smoke. The collision of the two created a burnt smell in the air. At that moment, coincidentally, Fushiguro and Kujisaki, hearing the commotion, were startled and quickly retreated. They were ordinary people with only a bit of cursed energy, and they couldn't handle this kind of force. What happened? Who is that? Is that Itadori Yuji? Did he get blasted out by a special grade cursed spirit? That far? He should be dead by now. Don't say that. The lives of the people outside this district are entrusted to these young folks. Even our lives are in their hands. Yuji Itadori, do your best. Don't lose to the cursed spirits. Don't give up. Do your best. Do your best. A group of suited men cupped their hands together and shouted, trying to wake Itadori's consciousness. Meanwhile, Sukuna was riled up by the annoying shouting. From far away, Eijichi was still on the phone, dialing numbers, seeking reinforcements. Soon a call came in. The voice sounded youthful, like students. Hi, Ijichi-san. Do you need us to come over? We're free right now if it's not too late. Is it Panda-sensei? Ijichi. At the dormitory building. Various stone fragments fell. A huge hole opened up to the outside world. Crack. Due to too much force, Kujisaki's hand was ripped apart. This speed of attack is probably enough. Itadori pulled the torn arm from Kujisaki, feeling the blood spill out, nodding. Don't be afraid of the pain. Pain means growth. In the process of constant destruction and recovery, your muscle structure will become stronger. Before the words finished, Kujisaki, in pain, bit down hard on Itadori's shoulder. It's fine if it can alleviate your suffering. Smack. Kujisaki gritted her teeth, her whole body numb, her mouth opening wide, some teeth cracking. I can't relieve it. This meat is too hard, she complained. Are you getting back at me? What did I do to deserve this? Great broken face, I won't be an idol, can't star in films anymore. Itadori laughed like an elder to a younger sibling, using reverse curse technique to heal her. Her teeth and arm healed back to normal. Adapting to pain and reacting quickly is also an important aspect of the future. Damn you, Fushiguro. Dodging so fast. Kujisaki, encouraged by Itadori. But it seems there's a different feeling. A strange sensation like through a soul resonance, muscle resonance, allowing her to quickly engrave the memory. Once her physical strength was on par, she could almost immediately learn. Kujisaki tried it herself, failed, but learned a lot. Her techniques and movements were already on point. Her eyes gradually lit up. Fushiguro, still aloof, was moved inwardly. He'd learned Jingting Fist as well, but not this quickly. I should have tried it too. Such a little pain, it's nothing. The one who felt it the most, though, wasn't Kujisaki or Fushiguro, but Itadori Yuji. Though it was Sukuna controlling him, he could still truly feel that explosive power. Outside. At the playground of the dormitory. The rain pattered on Sukuna. The cheers and calls from outside echoed in his ears, becoming particularly annoying. Noisy. A roar rang out. As the cheers approached, they immediately scattered, and after seeing Sukuna's face, they fled far away. Cough, cough. Techniques? Kids playing house. Even if you learn, so what? A bug is still a bug. Sukuna pulled himself out of the sunken tree. His body appeared completely unharmed. He stepped on the tree with one leg. Boom! A massive shockwave erupted. In an instant, he shrunk the distance and returned to the dormitory building. Clueless about cursed spirits. Since you like teaching so much, let me teach you what true curses are. Sukuna seemed serious now. He stopped, casually rotated his neck, then paused and made a hand gesture. Death is not the end, but the inevitable return to nothingness, and I can sever even that inevitability. Take these burdens with you and go to hell. Field expansion. Sukuna became serious, his voice calm. Hearing this, Fushiguro and Kujisaki immediately tensed up. A domain? Itadori cracked a smile, also speaking up. Domain expansion? Watching the two young ones, their scalps immediately went numb. Another one? Chapter 17, Sukuna's Domain versus Itadori's Trick. The two walked into the high-end arena. At first, they thought they had misheard. How could there be two domain expansions? Was Sukuna repeating himself? But upon closer inspection, the voices were definitely different. Is that Itadori? Looking back, yes, it really was their exclusive healer and substitute teacher. He also has a domain? Just a moment ago they had no idea what his technique was, and now he's using a domain? Itadori looked just like Sukuna, mimicking his hand gesture. No exceptions, exactly the same. The wrists pressed together, palms facing each other but not quite touching. Fingers bent and intertwined, forming a frame or cage shape. It was immensely oppressive, carrying a unique beauty. It had the majesty of a god and the madness of an evil spirit. It seemed as though they were going to perform an act of annihilation with ease. Sukuna's eyes narrowed, a thought crossed his mind. You want to collide domains with me? Wait, no. Why is he mimicking my gesture? Is it a coincidence? Impossible. Surprised? Itadori continued his teaching. Do you want me to explain what a domain is? A domain is the materialization of one's inherent domain using cursed energy, with the added effect of a technique. It creates a space where the technique is guaranteed to hit. In a domain, you get buffs and a guaranteed hit. For a regular sorcerer, the conditions to activate a domain are extremely high, requiring vast cursed energy and mastery of barrier techniques. After activation, there's a brief downtime, a short interval before the domain becomes unstable. Also, domains come in closed and open types. The ones from earlier were closed domains, those cursed spirits were newborns and lacked the technique add-ons. They were half-baked. In a brief 0.1-second burst, Itadori compressed all of this information and conveyed it into their minds. Kujisaki, Fushiguro, and even semi-conscious Yuji understood instantly, no wasted time. To break a domain, there are a few ways. First is domain collision. Itadori continued speaking, but Sukuna wasted no time cutting in with the next part. Fumomatsu Yuko. Fumomatsu Yuko. No exception, the moment Sukuna shouted, Itadori stopped teaching and immediately repeated after him. Eh? This time, Sukuna was starting to lose his composure. What's going on? They want to collide domains, fine, he can understand that. He loves challenging those he deems worthy. But using the same finger? Sure. But the domain name too? They can't both be a coincidence, right? Ding! At the lowest section of the dormitory, a drop of water fell into a pond. As the ripple spread, Fumomatsu Yuko rapidly expanded. Whoosh! In the void, 8 blood-red eyes appeared, accompanying the expansion of the domain. In an instant, the area near the table was engulfed by blood and darkness, and in the distance, a mountain was visible, endless in all directions. Looking inside, there was a dark blue lake at its center. At the top, a courtyard stood with animal skulls hanging above and a giant mouth beneath it. A pit of bones and flesh, the eerie skeletal frame of the courtyard. In short, it formed a small world. Sukuna switched to a white kimono. The air turned cold and ominous. Itadori maintained his gesture, but it seemed as though nothing was happening. Sukuna's forehead twitched. Kid, so you're playing me? You don't even have a domain. Only he had the Fumomatsu Yuko, that much was certain. But he couldn't understand, what's the point of repeating the name? To mess with him? Such childish behavior. After all, why was he wasting his energy on someone like this? You think I used it? Itadori kept his mystery. Seeing Sukuna laugh, he smiled too. All right, I didn't use it. I'm just messing with you. Kujisaki, Fushiguro, Yuji, when you don't have a domain to counter another domain, the second option is a simple domain. This is the signature technique of the Shinin school, also known as the domain for the weak, as it consumes less cursed energy and has a lower entry threshold. It creates a small barrier around the user to counter the guaranteed hit effect. Nuin uses binding forms to prevent the simple domain from spreading. There's really no need to keep it a secret. It's just a simple technique. The downside is you can't lift both feet off the ground, so it's easy to trap yourself in place, unable to move freely. If the opponent is too strong, a simple domain can be instantly shattered. As he spoke, Itadori's body emitted a special light. He pressed down on Kujisaki and Fushiguro, opening the simple domain around them. You treat me like training equipment, but don't think you've earned the right to do that. Sukuna glared at Kujisaki and Fushiguro, sneering. Let alone bringing along baggage, it's downright foolish. His mind flickered and he activated a technique. Baggage, huh? Itadori spoke as he vanished. That speed. It was so fast that even Sukuna couldn't see it. Where did he go? Sukuna's pupils dilated. The next moment he felt a tug his hand. His technique-wielding hand was forced open. The technique was forcibly interrupted. Baggage. I know, but it doesn't matter. Right now you're too weak. Itadori smiled slightly as Kujisaki and Fushiguro stood nearby. Wasn't the simple domain supposed to be immovable? Kujisaki was shocked as she saw Sukuna up close. Feigning a feint? Using the domain extension? Fushiguro said softly. Domain extension? Kujisaki was puzzled. At that moment, Sukuna turned to Itadori. He understood completely. Only in a domain could Itadori be this casual. He completely misjudged his strength. At least 3 fingers worth of power, maybe more. Heh. Sukuna let out a sigh. He wasn't the type to deny reality or refuse to accept the facts. All right. Continuing this fight is pointless. Kid, you should enjoy yourself for now, feel good about yourselves. Sukuna suddenly gave up continuing the fight. With a flick of his wrist, he thrust a hand into his chest. He intended to kill Itadori, using a method that no conventional reverse curse technique could heal from. Next time, think before you come out. Itadori whispered in his ear, then opened his palm. No need to trouble yourself, I'll handle it. A flash of blood. Blood spheres appeared in all directions, quickly taking the shape of sharp thorns. Whoosh! Whoosh! The piercing sounds echoed. As Itadori brought his fingers together, the thorns pierced Sukuna completely. Before Sukuna could react, he felt an intense pain, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably. You really have confidence in your healing abilities, huh? Wait, blood? Another technique? Reverse curse technique? Or was that not a technique related to the soul? Sukuna lost consciousness. The blood thorns dissipated. Itadori held him with one hand. Sukuna's consciousness faded, while Yuji's took over, seemingly realizing he was about to die, smiling as he said, "This feeling. Brother Ryoji, Fushiguro, Kujisaki, and even Gojo-sensei, you all live long." He slowly closed his eyes. Still don't trust my abilities? Itadori shook his head. One more reverse curse technique. The nearly dead Yuji opened his eyes again, sluggishly but quickly waving at the others. Yo, back from the dead? He gave a thumbs up. I knew you could heal me, Brother Ryoji. Kujisaki and Fushiguro sighed in relief. Ijichi and the suited men stood nearby, hard in their throats, waiting. One of the cursed energy-sensitive individuals serving as a window sensed something and quickly reported. Ijichi-san, the other special-grade cursed spirit's domain has dissipated. Dissipated? Did it break on its own or was it forced? Ijichi-san. Another terrifying domain has opened, its presence is unlike anything we've seen before. The window sensed the situation inside the dormitory and quickly pulled back his perception, sweat trickling down his forehead. He was afraid if he looked longer, he might get caught in the backlash. Explain it in detail. Ijichi held his breath. At that moment, unnoticed, the dormitory and even the outside flashed briefly. As if a larger dark curtain was descending, fleetingly appearing before quickly dissipating. It disappeared again. Chapter 18. First, achieving financial freedom. And then more training. Ijichi paused. Wait, what? The domain had just been activated, and before anyone could fully process it, it was already deactivated. Could it be that the people inside were instantly killed? It seemed possible, though not certain. The domain was indeed lifted, the missing empty space has returned, the window responded. Everyone looked at each other, confused. What just happened? The opening and closing of the domain happened so quickly, almost as if it was a joke. Ijichi-san, should we continue retreating, or should we wait for a while? One assistant asked, stepping forward. Ijichi, the assistant supervisor, was facing this unusual situation for the first time. Let's move back for now. After all, we can't do much, he replied. Meanwhile, inside the dormitory. It's over. But there are still some gains. 2 special-grade cursed spirits, they can be used to craft 2 special-grade cursed tools. Even if I don't use them, I can keep them for myself. Moreover, Sukuna didn't take advantage of this situation to establish the contract. That's good enough. Itadori reflected on how the situation had unfolded. He had healed his near-fatal wounds, so there was no need for Sukuna to take over, and the contract was avoided. However, by altering the course of events, he had shortened the time by 10 days. Luckily, the earlier period of observation added 10 days, keeping the time the same. So in the end, there was no loss. In fact, he had even gained a bit. Being forced into self-defense didn't cut down much of the time I have left. Meanwhile, Kujisaki, Yuji, and Fushiguro were recuperating and processing everything. Itadori helped them digest the lessons as they moved out. The theory behind the Jokin punch is simple. To deal effective damage, your physical strength needs to keep up. It can be used as an unexpected surprise. The simple domain. You guys are sharp, so I'll teach you step by step. Just practice a few more times and you'll get it. Of course, that's just the basics. To fully master it, it takes more practice. Soul resonance, enlightenment, and maximized focus. With his help, their training speed could skyrocket. The deeper you learn, the more you can buy time when encountering opponents with domains. He continued explaining the simple domain. Sukuna, in his haste, hadn't fully taught them, but it had real value. Although it was simple, it still counted as a domain. A properly executed simple domain would increase its user's attributes, like cursed energy output, and improve hit accuracy for attacks. It's a small buff. For example, Maki uses it for automatic defense, while Nobara uses it for offensive attacks. Being a microdomain, it can nullify the guaranteed hit of larger domains, but it doesn't cancel out the techniques themselves. Simply put, you have the right to dodge and avoid being locked down, but the enemy's attack still exists. Of course, if you apply the simple domain to a higher level, there are variations like hardening the barrier to resist other attacks. Nothing is absolute, it all depends on the user. The moment Itadori finished speaking, he activated a simple domain around Kujisaki and Fushiguro. You treat me like a training tool, but don't think you've earned that right. Sukuna glanced at Kujisaki and Fushiguro, sneering. Let alone bringing baggage. It's incredibly foolish. He activated his technique and the battle escalated. Baggage? I know, but it doesn't matter. Right now you're too weak. Itadori gave a small smile as Kujisaki and Fushiguro stood nearby. Wasn't the simple domain supposed to make us immobile? Kujisaki was taken aback. Feigning a feint? Using domain extension? Fushiguro muttered. Domain extension? Kujisaki was confused. At that moment, Sukuna turned to Itadori. He understood completely. Only in a domain could Itadori be this composed. He had completely misjudged Itadori's strength. It was at least 3 fingers worth of power or more. Sukuna let out a resigned sigh. He wasn't the type to deny reality or refuse to accept facts. All right. Continuing this fight is pointless. Kid, you should enjoy yourself for now. Feel good about yourselves. Sukuna suddenly gave up the fight. With a flick of his wrist, he thrust his hand into his chest. He intended to kill Itadori with a method that no reverse curse technique could heal from. Next time, think before you come out. Itadori whispered in his ear, then opened his palm. No need to trouble yourself, I'll handle it. A flash of blood. Blood spheres appeared in all directions, quickly taking the shape of sharp thorns. Whoosh! Whoosh! The piercing sounds echoed. As Itadori brought his fingers together, the thorns pierced Sukuna completely. Before Sukuna could react, he felt an intense pain, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably. You really have confidence in your healing abilities, huh? Wait, blood? Another technique? Reverse curse technique? Or was that not a technique related to the soul? Sukuna lost consciousness. The blood thorns dissipated. Itadori held him with one hand. Sukuna's consciousness faded, while Yuji's took over, seemingly realizing he was about to die, smiling as he said, "This feeling. Brother Ryoji, Fushiguro, Kujisaki, and even Gojo-sensei, you all live long." He slowly closed his eyes. Still don't trust my abilities? Itadori shook his head. One more reverse curse technique. The nearly dead Yuji opened his eyes again, sluggishly but quickly waving at the others. Yo, back from the dead? He gave a thumbs up. I knew you could heal me, brother Ryoji. Kujisaki and Fushiguro sighed in relief. Eijichi and the suited men stood nearby, hard in their throats, waiting. One of the cursed energy-sensitive individuals serving as a window sensed something and quickly reported. Eijichi-san, the other special-grade cursed spirit's domain has dissipated. Dissipated? Did it break on its own or was it forced? Eijichi-san. Another terrifying domain has opened, its presence is unlike anything we've seen before. The window sensed the situation inside the dormitory and quickly pulled back his perception, sweat trickling down his forehead. He was afraid if he looked longer, he might get caught in the backlash. Explain it in detail. Eijichi held his breath. At that moment, unnoticed, the dormitory and even the outside flashed briefly. As if a larger dark curtain was descending, fleetingly appearing before quickly dissipating. It disappeared again. Chapter 19, High Level? Then kill them all. In the blood sea inside Yuji Itadori on top of the bones, Sukuna was propping up his cheek, thinking about something. Originally, he could monitor and eavesdrop on external movements through Yuji Itadori, but just now that suddenly stopped working. Disrupted perception with cursed energy? No, it's not just that, it also affects the soul. Heh. A counter-surveillance method? He grew bored again and started spacing out. However, could this guy continue staying inside Yuji Itadori, constantly disrupting things? There would be a time for him to leave. Red blood manipulation, soul expertise, and physical strength. Now that I know all the information, it won't be a problem. He already had countermeasures. However, that Gojo Satoru needs more attention. Outside the dormitory building, near the gate of the juvenile detention center, Izumi and others didn't dare to move forward due to the unclear situation. At that moment, 4 figures appeared. Nobara Kujisaki limped out, holding her arm, her leg dragging. Yuji Itadori had lost a few teeth, his upper body covered in wounds, with blood flowing with every step. Fushiguro Megumi had blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, looking the most composed of the 3. Izumi's heart skipped a beat. As expected, facing a special grade curse, the situation was grim. The other suited men, including the window personnel, wiped their foreheads in cold sweat, relieved that they weren't combatants. To come back alive is already good, it's even a miracle. Did Sukuna help them? As expected, when the 3 neared, they explained it this way. Fushiguro Megumi remained mostly silent, while Kujisaki and Itadori were spitting words out with excitement, demonstrating their intense battle. They showed off with punches and described how they summoned Sukuna to take down the other curse. The situation they described was truly perilous. If it wasn't for Sukuna inside Yuji, we wouldn't have made it. Kujisaki nodded. Even with your reverse curse technique, it couldn't keep up and we couldn't heal ourselves. Itadori was watching, allowing them to express themselves. He hadn't expected their performance to be so on point. Mr. Yuji, you also consumed quite a bit of energy, right? Izumi nodded, slightly scared. No wonder you couldn't heal them. I heard from Miss Kaori that reverse curse technique requires a large amount of cursed energy to heal others. He was starting to understand. No wonder he looked relatively fine because the remaining cursed energy could only heal himself. Mr. Fushiguro, are you all right? Izumi looked at Fushiguro, who was still silent. Fushiguro paused for a moment, feeling somewhat embarrassed. He then nodded nonchalantly. I killed the 2 special grade cursed spirits. This mission was an overachievement. Although we couldn't save the people in the detention center, there are bodies. By the way, your intel was lacking. We need to clarify, if we hadn't stopped them, what damage would these 2 special grade curses have caused? We need to be properly compensated this time. At this moment, Itadori spoke up. Compensated? Izumi froze. Isn't that part of the job? Extra funding could be reported, but compensation, this seemed unprecedented? All right, you all need to get treatment first. You all must never take such risks again. Especially Mr. Yuji, you're a valuable healing type asset, and if anything happened to you, it would be a loss for the sorcerer world. Izumi said, wiping more cold sweat off his forehead. Is that so? But was this really a coincidence? Itadori asked. Izumi swallowed his saliva. The sorcerer-specific medical vehicle arrived quickly, and as the others were taken, Izumi received a phone call. It was from the higher-ups. How did it go? Was it solved? Yes, we solved it. Oh? Seems like it went unexpectedly well. After all, 1 special grade curse, Yuji Itadori. They continued speaking, and Izumi interrupted with his lips dry. Yes, we solved the special grade curses, and there were even 2 of them. The phone line on the other side fell silent. At Jujutsu High. When they had just arrived, Itadori quickly healed everyone, no need to act anymore. However, even so, Kaori still notified them to go for a checkup to avoid any lingering injuries. The 3 agreed quickly. They planned to go in the afternoon, but they didn't go until the next morning. It was because they were so tired from the mental strain that they needed to rest and sleep. The next morning. In the infirmary. The 3 arrived. Why so late? Kaori was indifferent but still had a slightly reprimanding tone. Young people really don't care about their health. She checked each one of them using cursed energy with some instruments, and the result came out. No injuries, no hidden wounds. In fact, they were healthier than expected. Their physical strength had even improved since the last checkup. Miss Kaori, how about it? Itadori showed off his muscles. You guys are fine. Looks like that guy's arrogant, but he really is capable, Kaori admitted, acknowledging the newcomer's reverse curse technique skill. Miss Kaori, could you make the injury report a bit more serious? Kujisaki said cheerfully, approaching with a hint of flattery. Kaori looked confused. What do you mean? Half a minute later, she understood and smiled playfully. Then what's in it for me? You're single, right, Miss Kaori, and Mr. Yuji is also single. Yuji Itadori suddenly leaned in. Go away, stop matchmaking, Kaori laughed and scolded. Meanwhile, Kujisaki and Itadori laughed as they left. Fushiguro, who had been silent the whole time, seemed to be deep in thought and didn't rush to leave. Miss Kaori, in terms of reverse cursed technique skills, are you better, or is Mr. Yuji better? Why do you ask that? Kaori immediately guessed. Are you thinking about your sister? That was a curse, and reverse curse technique doesn't work on soul damage, special curses, or congenital defects. Kaori's eyes widened slightly as she comforted, we will find a solution for you. Fushiguro remained silent. He had heard these words countless times. The three left the infirmary and Itadori was waiting for them. Together, the four headed forward. Let's go, I'll treat you guys to hot pot. Sometimes you need to relax. You've been on missions for so long and haven't enjoyed Tokyo yet. This time, let's have a good time. I'll cover the cost, just pay me back when the compensation comes in. Itadori smiled. Yay. We're not on holiday yet, is that really okay? If Gojo-sensei finds out, he'll just complain we didn't bring him. I won't go. Fushiguro walked off a bit disinterested. Eh? Why are you ruining the mood? Fushiguro. Kujisaki and Itadori said with big eyes. Itadori waved his hand, signaling it was fine. Oh right, I'll stop by to check on your sister. Besides medical skills, I have some knowledge in exorcising curses too. Hearing that, Fushiguro's footsteps froze. He turned around and walked back to join them. Okay. Seeing Fushiguro change so much, Kujisaki and Itadori were both wide-eyed. It's still Yuji with the skills. Actually, only Fushiguro knew just how much he cared, even though the hope was slim, he still wanted to try. Wait, did you hear everything from inside? Fushiguro realized. We'll talk about this topic later. Itadori patted his shoulder. Hey Yuji, Kujisaki said. What if, in the end, the extra compensation doesn't go through or the amount is too little? After all, she still wanted to buy things, go on a shopping spree. When the compensation comes, it might not be much and then it'd be awkward. Itadori nodded seriously. The three were already used to the idea of spending Yuji's money. Kaori was just about to come out of the door and overheard. She pressed her ear to the door, curious. What if they don't give it? Yuji nonchalantly said, That's a good question. Then we'll just kill them all. Huh? What? Chapter 20, 4 Days of Foreign Affairs? It's clear, he's very reliable. Kill them. Kaori's face darkened. Aren't you even going to keep quiet? She shook her head. Does he think everyone is like Gojo-satoru? With this kind of personality aside from him, anyone else with such behavior would end up getting into trouble sooner or later. Bragging. She didn't take it to heart. After the group left, Kaori clicked her heels, hands in her pockets and stepped out the door. As she walked, she ran into Izumi. And then, boom! Kaori's shoulder was suddenly slapped, and it was Gojo-satoru. He appeared out of nowhere. Fortunately, Kaori had already gotten used to this. What's up? Kaori, how are my students? Gojo-satoru said, then turned his gaze to Izumi. Izumi, tell me what happened. Izumi had an ominous feeling. Tokyo. In a bustling commercial district, near towering buildings. At a red light intersection there stood one human and 3 monster-like beings. But strangely, the pedestrians passing by didn't seem to notice the 3 monsters. Hey, what's going on? Is it really necessary to use one of the precious fingers to confirm Sukuna's strength? The one with a volcanic head, Rogo, asked while pressing his hands on a cane. It wouldn't make sense to just guess. It's still worthwhile. Wearing a Gojo robe with a strand of hair covering his left temple, looking like the fake Suguru Geto, it was actually Kenjaku, who spoke slowly. Although there were a few more variables, it's still manageable. He had originally intended to use a single finger and a special grade curse to test things. He didn't expect to birth 2. Excessive cursed energy unexpectedly happened, which was unpredicted. But thankfully, Sukuna had been lured out. However, due to some special reasons, after Sukuna eliminated one of the curses, he couldn't continue the observation. Yes, the curse he had placed to observe suddenly disconnected. %Yuan and *Yuan %Yuan. The one with 2 branches on its head, Hanami, suddenly interjected. The large red skull, Tengen, chattered away. Shut up, I can't understand a word. Rogo shouted. The red light turned green and the group of 4 began to walk forward. Rogo was impatient. Can't understand but still gets into my head, it's really uncomfortable. By the way, Kenjaku brought up another subject. Recently it's been getting stranger. Curses are becoming unusually active, and even special grade curses are increasing irregularly. Kenjaku looked at Rogo and asked, You guys are curses, so you should know better. Do you know the reason for this? Actually, they say the stronger the sorcerer, the stronger the curse. Both sides maintain a balance. Once one side increases, the other side strengthens as well. But, how to put it? In terms of top-tier combat power, humans actually outmatch curses. Humans have 4 special-grade sorcerers. Kenjaku was one of them after all. Sukuna was once human. So, when looking at it this way, the curse side hasn't produced anything particularly remarkable. If they were to talk about balance, it would probably be the curse side lacking in quality compared to quantity. But recently, the quality of curses is also increasing. Ah? In that case, it's a bit strange. Rogo's eyes moved. Originally, there were only the 4 of us, and then there's also Tengen and Hanami. Now, there are also 4 strong special-grade curses abroad, and they've contacted me. They want to be involved in the plan. They should have arrived by now. He said. These 4 natural disasters, the foreign 4 natural disasters and regular special-grade curses, were not even on the same level. Is that so? Kenjaku's eyes flickered slightly. This was beyond his expectations. Well, I'd love to meet them. Meanwhile, the group neared the hot pot restaurant. Inside the restaurant, the server greeted them enthusiastically. Welcome. Just one person today. Yes, one. Kenjaku smiled politely and held up a finger. The other 3 curses ignored everyone and walked straight in. As they entered, they saw a special seat where an old witch-like curse sat. The curse had a face covered in countless eyes. Several groups of customers had just come to take a seat, but instinctively distanced themselves, leaving the seat empty. Ah, you came. The old witch curse smiled, showing yellow teeth. Please sit down, would you like a bowl of the wine I just brewed? You old hag. Rogo grinned. The 2 seemed to get along well, having known each other previously. He began to introduce. This is what I was talking about earlier. One of the foreign special-grade curses, Yomi no Kami. She was formed from humanity's fear of death, a special-grade curse with intelligence. By the way, don't drink her wine, or you'll either lose your memory or gain some bizarre memories. Seeing Kenjaku approach, even considering taking a bowl, Rogo couldn't help but remind him. Does it contain pheromone wine? Kenjaku's eyes flashed. Jujutsu high. Kaori and the others returned to the infirmary. Gojo-sensei was looking at the reports and physical checkup results to confirm that his students were really fine. Izumi stood there, arms crossed, obediently explaining. When facing enemies, there's only escape or death. I've already reminded them not to fight. On purpose, huh? Gojo-sensei didn't look up. Ah, what do you mean? Izumi's face was sweating. Facing 2 special grades, yet sending first-year students to rescue 5 people with uncertain fates? This is absurd. Gojo-sensei sat lazily in his chair. And I forced Yuji's death sentence to be changed into an indefinite one. They're unhappy about that, so while I wasn't around, they used the appearance of these special-grade curses to try to deal with him with some dignity. Of the 4, if 3 died, it would be a challenge to me. Isn't this killing 2 birds with 1 stone? He said. No, but when the mission was dispatched, we didn't know about 2 special-grade curses. Izumi's voice became frantic, trying to explain. Also, we didn't know about Mr. Yuji, this rare healing talent. The second half was true. But Gojo-sensei didn't listen at all. Finding the culprit is a hassle, just kill them all. Throwing a tantrum, huh? Rare to see you really like them. Kaori said. I'm always thinking about what's best for my students. Don't bully Izumi too much, he's stuck between us and the higher-ups, it's not easy. Kaori said. Izumi sighed in relief and thanked her. Talk more, keep talking. I'm not interested in men's hard work. Gojo-sensei said. All right, in the end no one died, didn't they? That's because of Yuji, he has the strength of a first-class sorcerer and healing abilities. Gojo-sensei. He's someone I randomly bumped into, and Yuji is 100 times more reliable than these so-called higher-ups. At least, he won't let my students face dangers they shouldn't. Meanwhile, on that bustling street in Tokyo, la, la, Yuji Itadori and Nobara Kujisaki, two young people, walked proudly, shouting, heading for lunch. Hot pot. Oh yeah. The two were excited. Fushiguro Megumi followed reluctantly, trying to act like he didn't know them. Itadori smiled and walked into the hot pot restaurant. Chapter 21, The True Person, so he left it to me to kill. Inside the hot pot restaurant, a male employee was struggling mentally. Yes. He felt a terror that was hard to describe. I still have 4 younger sisters to support. I'm about to skip work. The man grew increasingly anxious. My intuition tells me if I get close to that table I'll die. Even worse, the whole restaurant could die. We're the real, pure humans. The imposters should all disappear. A voice came from one of the seats. But curses' voices are inaudible to normal humans. Kenjaku, yet the ones who disappear now are you. So I came to ask, how can we defeat sorcerers? Before the fight, we need to fulfill 2 conditions to win. What are the 2? First, disable the strongest sorcerer, Gojo-satoru, from fighting. Second, bring the two-faced Sukuna and Yuji Itadori into the fold. Gojo-satoru? Even if we all unite, plus the 4 special-grade curses from abroad, can't we kill him? Rogo glanced at Yomi no Kami and then looked at Kenjaku. Though I don't know what abilities these 4 foreign curses have, if they're roughly as strong as you. Kenjaku took a sip of tea. Then even if there are 8 of us, we would easily be escaped from him. Worse, you'd all be purged. Not to mention, Jujutsu High has another extremely powerful school doctor, ready to be a blood bag at any time. He still spoke slowly. Instead of killing, I recommend you find a way to seal Gojo-satoru. Using special-grade cursed objects like the prison realm, right? Yomi no Kami suddenly spoke. Isn't it in your possession right now? How do you know? Kenjaku was a bit surprised. It told me. Yomi no Kami took out a turtle shell, shook it a few times, and a few copper coin curses fell out. Fortune-telling. This is from a certain large eastern country. Kenjaku raised an eyebrow. Then can you predict whether our actions will succeed or? He asked. This can't be predicted. If I say it's ominous, would you stop acting? Yomi no Kami laughed softly. Ha, wait, prison realm? Rogo became excited. That forbidden object is really with you? With that, the volcano had erupted. The temperature in the entire restaurant suddenly shot up. The passing staff began sweating. Strange, the AC is on. Rogo, don't get excited, it's going to get hot. Kenjaku turned his attention away and reminded. Fine, then this will do. Rogo said, ready to end the lives of everyone in the restaurant, but then he suddenly felt something and his movements froze. Not only him. Kenjaku and the other cursed spirits also noticed and turned to look outside. There's a sorcerer? 1, 2, 3, there are 4? Hey, are they here to hunt us down? Rogo's voice was filled with surprise. Kenjaku's brows immediately furrowed. Impossible. He had chosen the location randomly. Only this cursed spirit, Yomi no Kami, had predicted it and come here in advance. Moreover, they had hidden their cursed energy very well. Was there an undercover? No, an undercover wouldn't be this foolish, notifying sorcerers to come to their deaths. Could there be a backup plan? Should we kill them all? Rogo squinted and grinned. Creak. The door of the hot pot restaurant opened. Yuji Itadori entered first, instinctively glancing toward one of the tables, but it was completely empty. Not even a trace of cursed energy remained. It was very clean. This is it? Looks so clean. Yes, the ingredients are the freshest here. Strange, why does it feel a bit hot? Nobara Kujisaki and Megumi Fushiguro followed and entered. Sorry, guests. We're adjusting the AC temperature, it'll cool down soon. On another street. The 4 great disasters, cursed spirits and Kenjaku were wandering among the dense crowd. Hey, what's going on? Suguru, there are only 7 weak sorcerers, right? You could blow on them and they'd be gone. Rogo sounded displeased. Taking them out is easy, but we don't want to alert the enemy. This is a downtown area. If we reveal ourselves early, it might attract more sorcerers, even Gojo-satoru. Maybe there's a backup plan. Plus, among these people there's Yuji Itadori and that school doctor I mentioned. They're important figures. He continued. Such coincidence, let's spare them for now. Rogo suppressed his impulsiveness, then showed a special expression. Suguru, you said my strength is comparable to a few of Sukuna's fingers. Being modest, it's about 8 or 9 fingers worth. Kenjaku spoke cheerfully. Rogo's grin widened. That's enough, give me the prison realm, I'll add it to my collection and in exchange Gojo Satoru will be. Idiot. Yomi no Kami interjected, you're too modest. You're only about 7 or 8 fingers worth. Kenjaku glanced at her, noticing this cursed spirit seemed to be an old one, around for a while. She knows a lot. That's enough. Old hag, don't mess with me. Volcano head, you really think Sukuna only has 10 fingers? Do you think 8 can solve the 6 eyes user? Yomi no Kami teased. Huh? Really? Sukuna doesn't only have 10 fingers? Rogo feigned ignorance then laughed angrily. Like I don't know, Sukuna has 20 fingers. Also, Suguru, you mentioned that new school doctor at Jujutsu High? Will they become an obstacle in the future? She smiled faintly. If not, we'll kill them. After all, the real person is a learning maniac, so they'll definitely be interested in these kinds of people. Oh. Yomi no Kami. Real. His potential is stronger than mine, he could inherit my legacy. Where is he? She rummaged through her clothes. I brought a gift for him. A gift? Are you sure you're being kind? Rogo didn't believe her. What is it? A figure with agile blue long hair jumped out, circled around them, laughing as it ran up. There's another reversal technique expert? Leave him to me. As my research subject. I want to see what his treatment limits are. It smiled bloodthirstily, imagining several cruel scenarios, instantly excited. In the infirmary. I'm a pretty difficult person, right? Gojo Satoru. I know. Idzumi, wait for me to slap you. Slap slap. Next topic, I'm not cut out to be a teacher, but why am I still teaching at Jujutsu High? Ask me quickly. Gojo Satoru turned his head, expecting him to respond. Why? Because I have a dream. Gojo Satoru crossed his arms and started to explain. His beautiful vision. Actually, it was very simple. He thought the higher-ups were absolute fools, self-preserving, hereditary, arrogant, and ordinary, rotten oranges. He wanted to completely overhaul the decaying world of jujutsu sorcery. But just killing the higher-ups won't solve the root of the problem, killing one batch will only bring up another, there won't be any change. And no one will want to follow. So I chose education to personally nurture, to cultivate his own powerful and intelligent team, so sometimes I delegate my tasks to them. This wasn't skipping class. Kaori snapped her fingers, drawing Gojo Satoru's attention. Now that things have gone wrong, it seems someone is replacing you, going to teach the first years. It's Yuji, right? Gojo Satoru clapped his hands. Well, when I have time, I'll check how he's teaching. If it meets expectations, I'll let him be the substitute guide. That. Idzumi seemed hesitant, unsure whether to speak. The higher-ups and Principal Gakuganji want to recruit Mr. Yuji. What do you mean? He's a valuable healing talent, and since we already have Miss Kaori, they want to transfer Mr. Yuji. Do you think that's possible? Gojo Satoru leaned back against his chair. Hasn't a new student who can pause injuries come from Gakuganji's side? Greedy. Idzumi lowered his head again, not saying anything. So, Gojo. Kaori seemed rare to be joking. If you really had to choose one or the other, would you choose him or me? She knew it wasn't possible. With Gojo Satoru around, no one could force him. At this moment, Gojo Satoru's phone rang. I have some business. Gojo Satoru pretended to be clueless and walked outside. Oh, it's Megumi, is there something? He answered the call. After a few seconds. His expression became extremely rich, seemingly also a bit incredulous, then he gave a huge thumbs up. My instincts are really top-notch. A talent like that can't just be handed over. Gojo Satoru smiled, returning to the infirmary. Kaori. Answer the previous question. If I had to choose, I'd choose him. Kaori had 3 question marks above her head. Chapter 22, Kyurtsumaki. Meet the second years. On the bustling streets. The group was indulging in food, drinks, and entertainment, thoroughly satisfied. After an extremely rare moment of relaxation, although Nobara and Yuji were not quite done yet, they had no choice but to calm down. The short holiday was over. In the evening, Yuji Itadori and Megumi Fushiguro arrived at an apartment complex and went to the victim's house from the Juvie incident. When we arrived on the scene, the young master had already passed. To be honest, I was hesitant about whether to save him. But my partner was different. Yuji. He reminded him of his sister. That's why Megumi Fushiguro had done something then. He couldn't bring the body back but managed to bring back the belongings. I'm sorry I couldn't save Ajing. Megumi bowed. Upon hearing this, Ajing's mother broke down in tears, covering her mouth. It's okay, don't apologize. You did nothing wrong. Only I'm the one grieving for the child. She also acknowledged her negligence, otherwise he wouldn't have gone to Juvie. Yuji looked on, and this mother reminded him of the mother of Junpei, the one who died in that night due to Sukuna's finger. Junpei, I'll visit you in a few days. Her mother passed away early and her father and stepmother both disappeared, so she and her older sister, Tsumiki, have been living together since childhood. Yuji naturally knew about Megumi's family. I see if I could cure her. It's fine. Megumi spoke little, remaining silent. I'm used to it. Many people can't heal her. Again and again, hope followed by disappointment. He had sought out many people, heard rumors about how powerful they were, only to end up disappointed. I mean, whether or not she's healed, a person has to move on. Yuji glanced at him. If you give up because of your sister, letting people take advantage of you, it harms many people. He put his hand back into his pocket and stopped speaking. Soon the two arrived at the hospital where Megumi's sister, Tsumiki, was. They got off the elevator, reached the designated floor and found the room number. A nurse was taking care of her. Megumi? Aunt Shinzi, thank you for taking care of her, I'll take over now. Okay. Meanwhile, Yuji proactively leaned in, observing closely. She looks peaceful, like a vegetative state. Megumi's voice was soft, she's cursed. In this world, inequality exists everywhere. His sister had once said, if there's time to curse others, I'd rather think about the people who matter. She was undoubtedly a good person, someone more deserving of happiness than anyone else. Whether to others or to him. Despite being from different parents, she always cared for his lonely self. And yet, such a kind person was cursed. Even the father, who didn't even know his gender, gave him the name Megumi. Now where is he? Don't just think about what you've lost, think about what's still there. Yuji noticed a mark on her. For example, Gojo-sensei. He's a very responsible person. He didn't let you be sold to the Zenin family, and even applied for financial support from them. In the future, if you have the ability, don't forget to repay that kindness. Looking at the sleeping beauty on the bed, oh, I digressed. Yuji moved closer and, with his deep understanding of curses and human souls, he placed his hand on Tsumiki's forehead. Curse. Kenjaku had marked her as a vessel. Unable to withstand the cursed energy, she fell into a coma. At the same time, this cursed energy invisibly changed her body, adapting it for possession. One day, an ancient female sorcerer would possess her, taking her body. Wake up. He whispered softly. A special wave of energy surged, and the cursed energy and soul began to separate, piece by piece. After a few seconds, Yuji lifted his hand. The sleeping beauty was still asleep, no change had occurred. A few more seconds passed and it remained the same. I knew it. Megumi had known the outcome, that it wouldn't work. Just like before. Snap. Yuji snapped his fingers. In the next second, Tsumiki slowly opened her eyes, slightly confused. Although her eyes had been closed for years, they were still beautiful. In her gaze was an unfamiliar face and... her little brother? Megumi, what happened? This is a hospital room. I remember I was with my classmates at Hachiho Bridge trying to test my courage. Tsumiki. Megumi's lifeless eyes suddenly widened in disbelief. He felt like he was on a wild roller coaster ride. He doubted it was real. He doubted everything in front of him was an illusion. He doubted. Megumi quickly moved in, unable to believe it, lips trembling. It seems I caused some trouble. Tsumiki was stunned. Yuji turned to leave. To him it was just a small thing. After healing her, the person who cursed her might notice, or maybe they won't. You need to be prepared for a backlash. Healing isn't the problem. The problem is, do you have the right to protect her in the time ahead? He left. This gentleman I'm ill. Did you heal me? Sumiki, reading the situation, was quick to guess something. Thank you, I will repay you. I'm not interested in being Megumi's brother-in-law. Yuji half-jokingly said, pushing the door open. He originally thought that by changing this development, it might shorten the stay time as a test. However, it didn't change much. It just reduced a few hours. It seems Kenjaku still has ways to deal with it, or there are other vessel candidates for Sukuna's possession. Whoosh! In the unnoticed details, Yuji left a drop of blood, quietly embedding it on Sumiki. As his strength recovered, his ability to manipulate red blood manipulation also grew. This was just one small trick. Also, as a mark, it could be located, sensed, and at the necessary moments, small actions could be made. Oh, right. If you really want to repay me, work for me your whole life to repay the debt. He made cursed tools. Aside from the core cursed spirits, it required basic funding, cursed spirit hunting, and material collection. Though it's easy to find, it still takes effort. Nighttime. Gojo Satoru seemed to be in a good mood. Seeing that Megumi wasn't around, he went to check the strength of Nobara and Yuji, and the results surprised him. Versatile. It seems you're really more suited to teach. Then, I'll acknowledge his position as a substitute teacher. Let's see how things go. If it meets expectations, I'll make it permanent. In the back seat of Idzumi's car, Gojo Satoru leaned back, one hand resting on the edge, enjoying the wind. Then, he sensed the presence of a special-grade cursed spirit. Special-grade disaster cursed spirit, Rogo. Gojo Satoru took action. While at it, he also took the opportunity to do a bit of teaching, bringing Nobara and Yuji along for a live battle, letting them experience a domain. We've experienced this before, and Yuji-senpai also explained it to us in detail. Yuji was being pulled, pointing his finger. Gojo Satoru, slightly surprised, what? The next day. On the Jujutsu High 400M track, first and second year students gathered. First year, Yuji, Nobara, Megumi. Second year, Maki, Panda, and Mai. The two groups met for the first time. The second years had been on missions, so they hadn't met Nobara and the others yet. Yo, Megumi, your face doesn't look as bad as usual today. Maki, carrying a cursed tool, teased. Did you fall for someone? Zenin-senpai, Megumi frowned, a black line appearing on his forehead. Don't call me by my surname. Maki glanced at Yuji and Nobara. Is this the new student? Nearly died the other day, right? Maki, don't be so blunt with the juniors. Panda rubbed his head, greeting them. We wanted to come to help you guys, but unfortunately we missed it. Even if you came, it probably wouldn't have made a difference, Nobara muttered quietly. Megumi began introducing everyone. Zenin-senpai was one of the top cursed tool experts among the students. Inamaki-senpai, a cursed word user, could only speak in rice ball fillings. Panda-senpai. And there's also Okatsu-senpai, currently abroad, incredibly strong. Aren't you going to introduce Panda-senpai more? Yuji looked at Panda curiously. Maki was curious too and leaned in. You're Sukuna's vessel? One of the two special-grade cursed spirits you handled was defeated by you. Or rather, was it Sukuna who took care of it? Yeah, it was me. Yuji stepped back, nodding. Panda interrupted their small talk, bringing the topic back on track. He clasped his hands together in a pleading gesture. Speaking of which, we want you to replace Okatsu for. Just then, a figure walked up from the distance. The Kyoto Sister School Exchange, right? Yeah, but who are you? Panda, Inumaki, and Maki all focused their attention on the newcomer. Maki raised an eyebrow, adjusting her glasses. Your walk is so carefree, no cursed energy at all. Are you a student? Are you just an ordinary person? Chapter 23 Special Uses of Cursed Speech. So exciting. She could tell because the way this person walked, the way he exerted force, was no different from an ordinary person. Not a classmate. A teacher, Maki-senpai. Fushiguro Megumi warned immediately. Ha. Maki's mouth twitched. Senpai, your info is really behind. Kujisaki was stretching her legs. By the way, what's this Kyoto Sister School Exchange event? Simply put, it's a PK match with another Jujutsu High. That figure drew closer. Itadori, code name Enshi. The other special grade cursed womb was dealt with by me. Let me introduce myself. I'm your specially hired school doctor and also the acting teacher. PE teacher. He stopped, raised one hand. And I'll be giving you special training. You? Maki looked him over carefully. Teaching PE? To prepare for the exchange event, the ones truly responsible for special training the first years were supposed to be the three of them. Maki and the other two exchanged looks. And about that special grade cursed womb, it had only just stepped into special grade cursed territory. Don't tell me Sukuna handled it and you just picked up the leftovers? Maki questioned. Mind letting me try you out? Go ahead. Itadori didn't care. Grade 4 Jujutsu sorcerer, ma'am. At this point in time, Maki was still very, very green, yet she did have ability. For example, during the exchange event, she could dodge her younger sister's cursed energy bullets. She could even stop one with her fingers, one of those bullets created by the construction technique. That kind of bullet was no joke. Which showed that in terms of physical technique, she wasn't bad right now. Asterisk, another one judging my strength purely by rank, huh? Asterisk. Asterisk thinks they've already looked into me. Asterisk. Asterisk, but if you really treat me as grade 4, you'll be making a huge mistake. Asterisk. Maki's lips curled into a grin. It was only because her clan blocked her that she couldn't raise her rank. Whoosh. She didn't take out a cursed tool. She stepped forward, intending to fight bare-handed. Too slow. Itadori's figure blurred, vanished, and when he appeared again, he was already behind Maki. Maki's steps froze. Goosebumps exploded over her skin. Even her dynamic vision couldn't catch him. That speed. Don't space out. Take out your cursed tool. Itadori's voice seemed to carry a kind of magic. Almost unconsciously, Maki pulled a cursed energy spear from the long tube and swung it viciously behind her. Bang! Itadori didn't budge. He extended one finger to the spear tip, just a light tap, and Maki locked rigid in midair. With a slight exertion, the spear, no one knew what grade it was, began tearing apart from the tip, ripping open again and again. Trash quality. Don't you have even a semi-special grade or special grade cursed tool? Come at me together. Let's do the old group beatdown routine. Teacher subdues the disobedient students and they become obedient. Itadori looked toward Inumaki Toge in the distance. Itadori's voice seemed to come with negative effects, able to influence a person's emotions. The next second, Inumaki pulled down the cloth covering the corner of his mouth. Retreat. Whoom! The power of cursed speech spread. But after sweeping over Itadori, nothing happened. Instead, Inumaki suffered backlash, coughing up a big clump of bloody phlegm and stumbling back several steps. No effect. Cursed speech. Cursed speech is made specifically to deal with curses. But against sorcerers, once you know the intel, it's not that terrifying. Just cover your ears and brain with cursed energy and you can block a lot of it. Unless your cursed speech output is strong enough to pierce through the other person's cursed energy covering. Also, the stronger the target is, the greater the backlash on the caster. Actually, you can use some technique. Pay the smallest cost for the greatest impact. For example, you know armpit itching, wild intrusive thoughts, cramps, diarrhea, right? A gout flare-up. A kidney stone shuttling back and forth through the urethra. Make shit come out of his mouth. When he activates cursed energy, the moment he strains, his hemorrhoids burst, spraying blood. Ideas kept generating non-stop. Inumaki's eyes grew brighter and brighter. He tried shouting. Kidney stone shuttling back and forth through the urethra. Yet nothing happened. Hey, you really shouted it. I don't even have a kidney stone. Itadori smiled, then turned to the last one, asterisk asterisk panda asterisk asterisk. And no. I admit it, Enshi-sensei. Panda snapped to attention instantly, he even bowed on the spot. This is just dark. Too dark. What kind of things is he teaching Inumaki? If those cursed speech commands got used on Maki, someone with no cursed energy, how would she defend? Meanwhile, after landing, even Maki conceded. Not only was she numb all over from the force, her cursed tool was half damaged. I admit it too. She sighed. At this level, even among grade 1 sorcerers, you're at least upper mid. Then teach properly. At the exchange event, Kyoto's to-do won't be easy. She shoved the spear back into the tube. During last year's night parade of 100 demons, he took down 5 grade 1 curses by himself, without relying on a technique. And using his technique, he killed 1 special grade curse. If nothing unexpected happens, with Okatsu not here, he alone could solo all of us. That was the worst case scenario, 1 guy wipes them all. Not to mention he had teammates. And all of this was what they'd face in 2 months. For first years to jump massively in such a short time was hard. Can kill a special grade? Kujisaki and little Yuji were shocked. They both knew how strong special grade curses were. Even the weakest special grade could crush them. It's fine. We still have 2 months. Itadori waved it off. And your reasons to get stronger aren't only for the exchange event. It's also so that in the uncertain great battle in the future, you can have self-preservation ability, so you don't drag everyone down. So you won't end up watching your companions die one by one in front of you, while being powerless. That feeling isn't pleasant. His casual words drew everyone's attention. Future, great battle? Itadori pulled the topic back on track. If you want to get stronger, there are 3 ways: develop your technique, strengthen your physical skills, and upgrade your weapons. Technique development, I'll help you as much as possible, like helping you learn simple domain. Physical side, technique and body enhancement. I'll teach you. It depends on whether you can absorb it. Third is weapons, curse tools. With a good curse tool on you and a strong physical foundation, you can even fight special grade curses. As for cursed tools below grade 1, trash. They're not suitable for you. They snap and break all the time. Not durable. Itadori shook his head. Trash? Maki's beautiful eyes widened. He really dared to say it. Any random cursed tool, if you sell it outside, would be worth plenty. Even trash we can't afford. Not to mention special grade curse tools. If you convert to USD, it's at least over 3,500,000,000 yen. Maki only had the cursed tools she'd brought out from her clan. Speaking of that, Itadori Yuji, give me back Playful Cloud. Didn't Gojo give it to you? Maki reached out her hand toward little Yuji. Playful Cloud had already been used until it broke. But little Yuji didn't dare say it, he could only shrink his head awkwardly. That it's with Gojo-sensei. Ha! Maki's mouth twitched. Good grief. Actually, he broke it. Itadori admitted on his behalf. But it's fine. Before Maki could explode, Itadori also pulled a 3-section staff from the long tube he carried. Glossy. Shining. This is. Maki's eyes lit up instantly. She rushed closer, her expression intensely hungry. Special grade curse tool, Playful Cloud? Wasn't this in the curse tool storage? You stole it out? She reached out rudely to touch it, her voice trembling. And no, that's not right. This isn't Playful Cloud. The craftsmanship is better, more delicate, more complex and refined. Even better.